the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los, along with Jeray, on the Morning Extra until 10. So, I'm sore, back thrown all out, spine out of line. I had to go lay in the...
you need the chair.
I did. I had to go get in the Sleep Galleria chair to try to get back in line because I moved with my son this weekend. And we did something that I didn't expect to do. We went over, got there about, let's say, 5 o'clock.
Killed a hooker.
Well, that was later, though. That was away from the move.
You indulged in fentanyl.
Yes.
These are things you never really expect to do. You just run into them when you're on the road.
Hey, how you been?
You robbed a Burger King.
No.
Trying to think of all small town things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the South.
Right. You fished without a license.
Picked up a hitchhiker.
Yeah, right. No, we got there about 5, packed it all up, went to dinner, just to, grab there's a great little Mexican restaurant right downtown Sumter, and ate there. And as I was sitting there, I was like, do y'all really want to sleep on the floor? Why don't we just go home tonight? And everybody, struggle with the idea a minute. They're like, it's 8 o'clock, and we got...
It's like, what, 5.5?
From there, 4.5.
Okay.
From Charleston, 5.5. And everybody agreed, and so we left and got home at 3 a.m. Saturday morning. And I'm still, my whole weekend...
Your whole world is messed up.
Off.
Yeah.
I felt off, and my back's all crooked, because you move it, and then when we got home at 3 a.m., there were some things on the back of my truck that we couldn't leave, and we knew the rain was coming in. So I had to unload at 3 a.m. Oof. At least the back, the stuff in the truck.
Well, you're stronger than I am in this case. Goodness. I have no interest in that.
Yeah, dude, nobody has. It's awful.
Of all the things about getting older, the ability to pull all-nighters is just the one.
It's awful.
Everybody used to be able to do it, I'm sure.
Yeah, not me.
Well, everybody sleeps but you.
Yeah.
Everyone else sleeps in the car but you.
Because you're driving. Well, I'll say Jacob, because we had his car too, so he drove back.
Oh, he had to drive.
He had to drive.
He had to drive as well.
And Laura did not fall asleep. My wife didn't fall asleep until the last hour, and it was and she was doing touch and goes. She was trying to stay awake, trying to talk to me. Like, she would hit me with the that trying to convince you that she's not asleep. Where she's like, "Hey, so I really like this song."
Well, I'm not far off of this because I have we got a contract on our place in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And so at some point in the next 2 weeks, now I don't have to unpack because the home is furnished. And you sell a beach property, most of the people want it furnished. They get to keep most of it.
Okay.
But there is the owner's closet and a handful of stuff we got to do. So I got to drive 5.5 hours to unload an owner's closet to then turn around and drive back. Whew. And so there's a part of me that's trying to figure out exactly when to do this and how this is going to play out. So I know that feeling. I'm going to have the exact same one.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's done. I'm glad that it's done, but it was not fun. Moving never. It's moving. Is there anything worse than moving? I can't think of anything worse.
Now that I'm pretty much done with it for the time being,
I'd rather have a root canal. Anything other than moving.
Because we moved our primary house for the first time in 15 years.
Well, and you just did it. For folks that hadn't, maybe.
Yeah, we just got done with the move.
Physically,
we just finished getting the last handful of boxes out of the house, and this is like week 3 in the house.
And that was and ours was kind of a half move because it was, an apartment that he was splitting with another teammate. It was just his room, some living room stuff, some kitchen stuff, clothes, and that sort of stuff. Dresser, mattress, that kind of stuff. So it was just end tables. So it was heavy and bulky, but we got it all in the back of my truck. and back of his Jeep and, man, got on home. But it was not like y'all, dude. Y'all did a full-on house move after 15 years being in the house.
We're going to get close to getting you guys over and have everybody come on for like a pool day. And
cannot wait for
then
that.
You'll be looking around going like, seriously? Like, got all this thing taken care of? I don't know. It's been something every single day. And finally over this weekend was the first weekend where we didn't really have a ton like we used to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out well.
I'm looking forward to that. Now, I did wake up to a text about 9 o'clock from Los.
From me?
Yeah. and I was already awake. It was I slept so hard from 3 to 9 that I woke up with a headache. I slept so hard. And but anyway, the text was right after the room felt like it was coming apart. I thought the fan was coming out of the ceiling. And I had installed the fan a few years ago, and I was like, oh, my God.
My shoddy workmanship is finally here.
Finally going to fall out
Here he goes.
of the ceiling onto the bed and, dice me up. But no, Los's text laid it out, and I was like, oh, that's what that was.
So this happened like this in my house. I had taken the dog out maybe like 8:30, 8:45. I come walking back in the house. My wife has just gotten a cup of coffee. She's now kind of sitting in bed. We're kind of plotting and planning our day. We didn't have as much to do, and it wasn't like we were like in some rush to get to some gymnasium for volleyball or some sport. Yeah, finally, we actually slept in. It's like the first time in like 3 weeks. Slept in. I think we slept till like 8 o'clock, and I start feeling this vibration, this shaking, and I pop up from the bed, and I go, "That's an earthquake." And my wife goes, "What?" And I go to the window because I want to see, is there more stuff that's kind of swaying and moving? And she goes, "Is that thunder?" I go, "No, it's an earthquake." And she kind of looks at me again, and I just go, "Yeah, it's an earthquake." She then, still kind of not really sure what to think about it, gets on her phone, goes to the Facebook page for the neighborhood, and she goes, "I think we just had an earthquake." I'm like, damn it, I said it 3 times. 3 times.
Why ain't you listening to me, lady?
By the way, if there was ever a case off a weekend for when I tell you about the things about True Prep, now, this was nothing. This was a 4.1 out of Tennessee. But when I tell you weird stuff happens, to be ready for it, truprep.com. You never know. We got an earthquake, man, over the weekend.
I'm telling you, my wife didn't notice that she was doing laundry. She was already up. I was awake, but just kind of laying there. And then, like I said, I was just like, what is happening?
How am I?
I mean, seriously, man, I was like, what in the world is going on?
I was sitting up in Woodstock, and I didn't feel it, but I was downstairs in the kitchen, and I just started to hear this sound. I thought it was heavy wind. And, or thunder or something like that.
That's what my wife thought. Is that thunder?
And my girlfriend's dog had been up all night just panting, and he's always anxious about storms. And so we were like, there's nothing going on. What are you upset about? I think he could sense this thing coming.
You're probably right. Dogs always.
He was so upset all night. But I was up, and, I hear wind, or I thought it was wind. And then I started hearing all the wine glasses that are on upside down. I hear ding, 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 ding,
bumping
ding.
into
And I'm
each
like,
other.
There's no way this is an earthquake. There's no way this is an earthquake. Sure enough.
And it turns out it was. That thing lasted at least 15 seconds, at least at my house.
It took some time. I know it felt like about 10, 12 seconds for us. I know that our friend Frank Duffy from Duffy Realty, so he lives in Big Canoe. So he's further north than any one of us are.
Yeah, he's northeast, isn't he?
And he made the point, his cabinet doors were opening and closing.
Oh, wow.
From where they got what they got.
But him being so much closer
to the epicenter.
Yeah.
So, I just know that, obviously, me being 30 minutes further south, and then you being another 15 minutes beyond that, the fact that we got what we got, you can imagine what everyone got a little bit closer to that Tennessee border.
No kidding.
It was weird. I never experienced that, but I knew immediately. I was like, that's an earthquake.
Yeah, I didn't. Because I've never experienced before. I've never felt an earthquake. Have you ever felt an earthquake before?
No.
Did you know it? Or how did you know?
Because I've watched so many dumb documentaries that's where I was like, oh, that's an earthquake. It's got to be. I guess the part that jumped out to me is it wasn't like I've had where if you're ever at the beach and you get a big thunderstorm that comes in, it'll shake areas because you're so close to sea level, and when that lightning and thunder comes in, you're like, whoa, okay, that's pretty crazy. There was no big kaboom or anything else that made you think, oh, that's a giant clap of thunder or something. It was just you could feel the house moving. And I was like, that can be only one thing.
Yeah, so sorry.
Unless somebody's taking a bulldozer and running it right into my house.
Right the dam.
It's got to be this.
That's right. And so I saw the Facebook pages fire up just like your wife, and the neighborhood app would light up, and then the Ring app, actually.
Yeah.
I was surprised, the Ring app. There were some stuff coming through. And then when you sent me the USGA, is it USGA?
Yeah.
Yeah, geological, what is that?
It's the earthquake
agency.
monitoring
There we go.
system. Yeah.
Yeah. You sent me that picture where the epicenter was, and I was like, oh my. And then I started specifically looking at the people in Dalton and Chattanooga that I know, and they were really talking about it.
And that was another thing too. And I think it's important what Jerry had brought up when he talked about the dog being uncomfortable. So my big dumb furry animal, she was no worse for wear. All she wants to do is go outside, use the restroom, and eat and lay on our beds. Like, that's all she does. So nothing was unusual for her. But the amount of people in the neighborhood talked about how their dogs were losing their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Like before, after, during. Like that's what alerted some of them to this is not right. The animals knew it before they did.
Absolutely. And I believe that 100%.
Yeah, I've seen so many videos of that where it's in big earthquakes, the animals will figure it out like minutes.
Yeah.
And they go running off.
Go the other direction. I've seen that as well.
Los's possums were nowhere to be seen.
No, I know. I saw no
Snakes.
possum, no snakes or possums out in the on the woods this time around. But it was that I'm texting Tug in part because I'm trying to think, okay, who lives near me who's going to be up at 9 a.m.? And I'm like, normally Tug's up, 5 hours before this anyway. So like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be awake. And is it possible he felt that too? And now, by the time I start hearing from friends in Johns Creek, obviously you and Alpharetta, and the more people are saying, no, well, I felt that.
Absolutely.
It's like some of us felt it a lot.
Fascinating. I can't imagine as unnerving, not really unnerving. It was surprising more than anything, but after you thought about it, kind of unnerving. If you were to live on the San Andreas Fault, was it 89? They had the huge earthquake when the World Series was going on.
You had the 89 World Series, Oakland,
Can
San
you
Francisco.
imagine, like, on that kind of scale? Like, if we just had the tiniest dropper.
Well, LA is ready for one. The last one was like 94, was Northridge.
One of those things that makes you feel real small.
Certainly does.
Oh, man, just to think that there was so much power that was released from a fault line in Tennessee.
Yeah.
That me as far away, it was shaking my house.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Whoa.
The power of nature is always so impressive. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, just that. I think Jerry hit the nail on the head. It just makes you feel real small.
And if I might make this political on a news talk show.
Sure.
There was no fracking in the area.
That's right.
I was like, where's the fracking going on, everybody?
Are you saying that we don't control the weather? We don't have that much power?
Creating
even?
seismic events on the Earth's crust. We may not have the power of God to do so. But my first thought was because we've seen some, and people have felt minor ones out at Lake Lanier. And that was my first thought. I told my wife, I go, there was like an earthquake out of Lake Lanier. Now, it was like a 1.1. Like you had to be near it and felt it. Maybe in the last year and a half.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that.
So that's the first thought I had. To find out it was in Tennessee, I was like, oh.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine what
man.
those people in, what was it, Greenville, Tennessee? Green something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of southeast or south, I guess it would be southwest of Knoxville.
So if you had that on your bingo card, like weekend earthquake. Now, everybody probably had something kind of crazy go on at some point where you're like, hey, my lawnmower died.
Yeah. Or, I just moved my kid. My back is broken.
Right. My back broke because I brought my kid home from college. Then you got rewarded with, let me show you how much of a big deal it really isn't.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an earthquake.
In the grand scheme. No, it's such a great point. I will say with Jacob being home, which is always great, and having, have your kid home from college, and as time evaporates and time is such a thief, he did something real sweet for his mom. He made dinner for his mama last night. It's something he's never done. He's never made dinner in our home, and he came home and he was like, hey, I'm going to make mama dinner tomorrow night. I was like, okay, that's great. Yeah, and dude, and it was good.
What was the entree?
I have no idea.
But you ate it.
I ate it. It was great. He took ground beef and, used like a taco seasoning a little bit, and then fried up, cut up potatoes, fried them in there. Cut up avocados, threw it in there.
Nice.
A little cheese on top in a bowl. It was really good. I was impressed.
Sounds pretty healthy, too.
Yeah, relatively, yeah.
Pretty surprised. My oldest daughter, with assistance from my youngest, they made breakfast.
That's
for
awesome.
My wife Sunday morning.
What did they make?
These tofu / It was like tofu, rotel, peppers, and whatever, these big old breakfast tacos. They did a great job with it. And so, yeah, it's
Isn't it crazy when kids do that?
It's nice when they're getting to that age, because we've sent them both to Young Chefs Academy.
Oh, wasn't that at Publix?
So there's one that's located over in Cumming, and it's actually located right next to a Kroger of all places.
Oh, okay.
And so, but that academy, it's like they can go in there like 3 or 4 times during the summer, and they'll do a week at a time, and they show them how to cook all this stuff. And that's what really, more than anything, kitchen safety.
Yeah,
They learn that. Yeah. So I'm not as concerned that my daughter's going to burn the house down when she gets in the kitchen. But yeah, no, impressive stuff when the kids can throw things together.
Dude, I love it. I was just so impressed. The only thing was, I was like, man, this is really good. I was like, is there enough for seconds? He was like, nope.
No, yeah.
It was 3 bowls. That was it.
They didn't make enough either.
Yeah.
They didn't make enough. Oh, by the way, your when I talked about the previous earthquakes out at Lake Lanier, June 14th, 2024.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, multiple small earthquakes reported near Lake Lanier. That was last year.
I didn't even remember that at all.
Didn't get anything last year that I recall.
Yeah,
neither did I. And I didn't live very far from there. I didn't feel a thing, but I felt this one.
Yeah, no doubt. This one was impressive. What was not impressive was the Atlanta Braves losing the series to the stinking Pirates. What in the world?
If there was ever the opportunity, because the Pirates this year are bad enough that they fired their manager already. But you kind of knew it. When you fire the manager leading into a series with the Braves, and you have not been a bad team in the past, they've been hanging around 500, a little bit above the last 2 years. So this was like hey, guys, it's time to wake it up. And sure enough, they took 2 out of 3. So now the Braves move on to D.C. to play the Nationals for the next 4.
Yeah, and I expect, look, if we can lose to the I know the Nationals are on a skid too, like 5-game losing streak or something like that.
The Pirates had lost 7 straight.
Yeah. And I don't think the Nationals are that much better. I think they're in like a 5-game losing streak, unless they won yesterday. And I don't know the answer to that, but they were on a 5-game losing streak. So we could potentially lose to them too. I mean, if we're just betting, if we want to lay some money down, I'm thinking I'd bet against the Braves right now because they don't look good.
I'm not going.
You're not going to do that?
Excuse me. I'm not going that far. I will say that if there's little weird things that can happen when you're playing tight ball games, that's what's happening. It's like, yeah, you would love to be able to walk out of tonight and be like, well, that was 7-1. That was nice.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just not how the offense is humming right now. And when the offense is humming, you don't need to. That thing looked a lot better on Friday. And then over the next couple of days, when they changed the lineup entirely because they had left-handed pitching, I'm like, just do what you do.
Yeah, just go, man. Just play. Just play. And
it was like suddenly we're going to lead off with Ozzy. I'm like, what?
The dude that's over 22. That guy? I mean, I love Ozzy. He's my favorite player on the team. My favorite player on the team. He is not playing well.
I have brought this up on doing Chuck and Trent Off on Friday. He's had 1 healthy season in the last 4. He's had 2 in the last 6. This might just be what he is.
Boy, I hate to hear that. But
it might be what it is.
I know. As bad as I hate to hear it, because he is my favorite player. You may be right. Just let that sit in on a Monday. A rainy Monday.
You got an earthquake. Everything's fine.
Exactly. In the grand scheme, it's all good. We're going to be okay. All right, when we come back, even the mainstream media has noticed it's the oligarchy fighting the oligarchy. What? Next on Extra.
Get the latest breaking news and insight from the biggest conservative voices in the South when you follow Extra 106.3 across all your social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube at Extra 106.3.
Hey, it's Front Office Los. Good morning, and I'm not here to say I told you so, even though I really like doing that to everyone around me. But it's not this one of these cases, everybody. True Prep. First off, truprep.com, or right there in Marietta off of Cobb Parkway. You just had an earthquake. All right? Like, I tell you, you just be ready for random stuff. Now, none of us needed anything. It was a small deal. But when I tell you about, I worry about Mother Nature. I worry about the wildest things that can happen from somebody who had to deal with a hurricane several years ago. I just make sure that I've got some supplies on me. That's what True Prep is able to do for you. Again, truprep.com. And also, when it comes to personal security, just as you get beyond water filtration, just as you get beyond freeze-dried foods, also personal security. True Prep, they're Atlanta's leading preparedness store. They currently have incredible deals on Glock pistols. For a limited time, you can get a brand new Glock 19 Gen 4 for $399.99 cash or $419.99 with your card. These are brand new 315 round magazines and all the accessories. And let me tell you, it's not going to last long. So whether it's having supplies ready in the home or personal security ready to go for you, True Prep can get you taken care of. You can view all of their inventory over at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. To True Prep, prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing: flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number.
800-588-2300 Today.
Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
If you're thinking about a new Chevy, don't wait. Now's the time. Head to Jim Ellis Chevrolet where the price is right now.
Lock in your lowest price today before prices start to rise due to new tariffs. Shop early while inventory is strong. Right now, Jim Ellis Chevrolet has more than 400 vehicles in stock on the ground, ready to take home today. That includes the legendary Silverado, family-friendly SUVs like the Equinox, Tahoe, and Suburban, one of the largest Corvette selections in the metro Atlanta area. And if you're shopping pre-owned, you'll find a great selection of certified vehicles too, thoroughly inspected and ready to roll.
At Jim Ellis Chevrolet, you'll find exactly what you want, but don't wait too long. Get yours today before prices go up and vehicle selection goes down. No pressure, no games, just a transparent customer-first experience that makes buying easy.
And after the sale, Jim Ellis Chevrolet is still with you thanks to factory-trained technicians who will keep your Chevy running strong. For the latest offers, stop by their showroom on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Or shop anytime at JimEllisChevrolet.com. Jim Ellis Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, May 12th. Hundreds of flights were delayed at Hartsfield-Jackson on Sunday. A ground stop was issued around noon due to runway equipment issues. Some delays are lingering into today. The FAA says another ground stop is possible. Check your flight status before heading to the airport. Cleanup is continuing after a train derailment in Smyrna on Friday. CSX said there were no injuries and no hazardous waste was released into the area. Investigation into the cause is still ongoing. And the U.S. and China have agreed to roll back most tariffs for 90 days as negotiations on a trade deal continue. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will come down to 30% from 145%, and the Chinese will lower their rates on American goods to 10%. Today's weather: rain and isolated storms continue throughout the metro area and look to be here until Wednesday. Temperatures will be relatively low in the 70s, but we're warming back up into the 80s by the end of the week. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
All right, I want to play you something real quick. And, Bernie Sanders, he did not apologize for taking his private jet. He cannot. Do you know how many people he has to see? He cannot be burdened with standing around in a united line. No, he can't do that, and he will not apologize for it. He said it to Brett Baer on Fox News Channel, said he will not. The oligarchy is what he has to fight, but what happens when you're fighting yourself?
How can I get by on one house? I need 5 houses.
I own 3 residences. Yeah, I do.
I need jet planes to take me all over the world.
Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United? That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that.
Sorry, the American people. We've got the money. We've got the power.
Guess what? I'm a United States Senator.
What?
You just have to let him talk.
You just let him talk. The first clips that you heard were in an interview that he did where he was coming down on those millionaires and billionaires with, how many houses do you need? 5. The next clip is him, well, yeah, I have 3 houses. Coming out with the millionaires and billionaires flying in their private jets, destroying the environment. Gosh, how could they? Well, no, I'm not going to wait in line. I've got to get to my people. I have to take a private jet. You need to wait. I can't wait. I am so important. There's no way I could sit here in this line.
Oh, but waiting is for you.
That's right. But isn't that what socialism and communism is?
Well, and over history, and I'm a nerd of this stuff. Every single time one of these people rises to power, they portray themselves as the average everyday guy. Hey, I'm here for the people. The people are going to rise up. I am a leader of the people. I am one of you. I am one of you. It's always the same. And then they reveal themselves to be exactly the opposite. It took quite a while before the Bernie bros actually felt that Bernie was full of it. And I was glad when probably the most prominent Bernie bro, Joe Rogan, he was the one who probably figured it out like 6 months ago. He's like, man, Bernie's full of it. Like, it's a total lie. It's a total fabrication.
And it always is. You think AOC you think she's legit? She's on the up and up? Or does she see the ability to seize power, status, money, privilege? Because I guarantee you that's the reason most people go to Washington, D.C., because they see that. Washington, D.C. is Hollywood for ugly people. That's what it is.
It's true.
They can't go to Hollywood. They have no ability. They can't make a living out there creating content or being beautiful on camera. Now, I will say that AOC's a pretty attractive lady. So maybe in that one piece of it's a little bit off. But rule of thumb, she sees the ability to seize power, money, and to live a different lifestyle that being a bartender or an actress, because I heard Jesse Kelly the other day saying that she was actually an actress as well. The bartending gig was to support her acting aspirations. So she was trying to live that lifestyle, couldn't, and found a way to live it without having to do what it takes to be in Hollywood. She is a fraud, just like Bernie's a fraud, just like every socialist is a fraud. Like all those people that are protesting, the Hamas supporters, they are frauds too. Every one of them. It never changes.
People fall for it. I think one of the things that goes on, we want to believe in like this idealistic nature. It's the whole reason why when it comes to this radio show, we tell you about our faults. So you're like, okay, yeah, these guys are flawed just like the rest of us are. What happens is these politicians at times will hold themselves up as holier than thou and idealistic, and you should put your hopes and your dreams and everything into me. and that's when they get the power over you. I mean, if there was one thing that the Obama campaign of 2008 showed, it's that I am the bucket. You fill whatever you want into me, and I'll be that for you as long as you hand me your vote. And then when I'm in charge, it'll be completely different. That's pretty much the MO for so many of these people that lean towards a more communist nature of ruling rather than serving their constituency.
How much did Bernie Sanders blow on that private jet fighting the oligarchy? $221,000, more than most people's house is worth, more than most people's bank account will ever see, more than most people will ever make in a year. $221,000.
Well, he's not supposed to wait, Tug.
No, he doesn't have time. He cannot wait. He has to see his people. They're waiting on him. He's got to get there. He can't stand in a united line. But and the crazy thing is, because I'm a capitalist, I don't fault him for using private air travel to get. But the fact that he lies about the reason to do it, that's the issue.
Flex, Bernie. Like, hell yeah, I can do this.
That's right. Dude, at least wear it. At least put it up like a badge on your shirt. You damn right.
Listen, as far as your communist friends, I'm one of the most successful in this entire country.
That's right. Absolutely.
Here we go.
Yeah.
The whole reason why there's such a term as socialist Democrat is because Bernie invented it. Good for you, Bernie.
Yeah, this is the guy that says, look, only got 8 or 9 years. The cities are going to be underwater. It's going to be terrible. You can't underestimate the climate crisis. And he's flying on a private jet that puts more carbon into the atmosphere, which I don't mind to anyway. The climate's always changed and always will change. But he's using it as a lever to gain that status as a politician. He's using it, right? And he's telling you 8 or 9 years before we're all underwater, yet he's going on an aircraft that causes exactly what he said is coming. And then has houses on the coast to go along with it. The irony is not lost on me. Joe Biden says there's a reason that Kamala Harris lost to Donald Trump. And the reason is one that you've probably heard before, and it'll make you roll your eyes so far back in your head that they will turn right back around where they're supposed to be.
Why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman, she's this, she's that. I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
What? When did any of that come up?
What an invention from his own mind. All right, first off, let's be clear for all of this stuff. He hates her. Jill hates her. They put her up because they knew she was going to lose. All right? Like the entire plan when it came to what was going on in the Democrat Party, when Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer made it a point to get rid of Joe Biden, to go to him and basically say, listen, we're going to 25th Amendment you. You're going to be removed from power. We don't want to lose down ballot. Their entire process was like, now we're going to select our own candidate. This was led by Barack Obama. He was leaning towards going with the senator out of Arizona, the astronaut, Kelly.
Kelly, yeah. Yep.
That was the plan. That was what was going to go on. The Bidens decided to F the entire party by putting out a letter and saying she was the one. That's what they did. So for him to sit there on The View and act like, he's little Bo Peep, I don't know what you're talking about. He knew that she couldn't win.
Of course.
Based on who she is.
Yes, that's right. And it worked in his favor. And now his hands are clean, or at least it looks like his hands are clean. Though
it was his last deft political move.
That's right. It was his last dagger into the heart of the Democrat Party. But here's another thing. He just called half the country bigots. He said you didn't vote for him because he's...
Well, that's fine. He said the same thing during COVID.
Of course.
He went after us in Philadelphia.
Yep,
this is not unusual of this guy. This is very... Barack Obama made the point about him years ago. If it can be effed up, Joe will F it up. And Joe did it.
Absolutely right. But it seems like after a while, somebody would say, hey, stop calling half the country bigots. They're never going to vote for you again, ever. Your party... because that's all you do is call them. And here's the other thing, dude. It wasn't anything to do with her race or her being a woman. It was everything to do with the border and the economy that was going to continue under Joe Biden the exact same way because she wasn't going to be anything but a figurehead either.
This is how bad of a job that he did, and they did. They spent $2 billion and they lost 7 swing states and the popular vote. All right, money is winning in politics. If you got it, you're going to win. They had $2 billion and they lost 7 swing states and the popular vote. That's the Biden legacy. That's what happened. That's how they lost. And it didn't. You could have had Kamala Harris suddenly talking like she was Winston Churchill. The problem was going to be the legacy of what that administration had happen.
And the fact that Joe Biden becoming the buffoon that he is, or was, and then putting it on display again for the entire world to see, it does nothing but confirm that America did the right thing.
I will never understand. If I was his family, and I get that you want to make some public appearances, you got to make it a point to be like, we've got to either really manicure this thing out or we're not doing it. Because every time he goes somewhere live, you find out just how gone he is. And again, it's not the worst thing. It's not like you're, we've all had family members with dementia where you just say, okay, they're not even here anymore. He's still a little bit here, but it's
between like 10 and 4.
Right, but the problem is that you still get the slurred speech, you still get the weird hand movements, you still get all the things where you go, this person has a significant health issue going on.
No question about it. Hey, quickly, got about a couple minutes, but I want to hit this because this is extraordinary. Bill Gates, the billionaire, Microsoft founder, going to give away all of his fortune before he passes or whatever he's trying to do. He says that Doge will kill people. This is unbelievable. This is like he's not a dumb man. He is not a dumb man. And I'm not trying to paint him to be a dumb man, but this is a dumb thing to say.
You know what he's done? He's taken, and when I first saw it, I was like, that can't be real. It's got to be AI. I had to go through quite a number of sites to go, no, he actually said it. Bill Gates has made a fortune off of what goes on with USAID as far as funding some of his pet projects. And so by the time Doge goes after USAID, that's the very first thing they cut. They were cutting so much of that money out of there. Marco Rubio takes it over, and he's like, we got to shut this whole thing down. This thing is not working. Take a listen to Bill Gates. Now that you've gotten rid of the slush fund of the left, here's what he's trying to do by pulling on heartstrings.
Now with these cuts, if they're not reversed, we'll go to over 6 million dying. So instead of going down, we'll go back up.
Wow. So it's a difference of 2 million lives.
Absolutely.
What?
If Bill Gates is pushing for something, you don't want any piece of it.
Amen to that.
Isn't he Mr. Population Control anyway?
Yes, globalist,
exactly.
All of it, yes. Eat bugs, eliminate cows, all the craziest of environmentalist wacko thought and idea. He is the head of the spear.
And I hope they call down the thunder so hard with this stuff that the first thing that goes on is Elon Musk makes a phone call to Pam Bondi and says, hey, the video of him at Epstein Island, let's make sure that gets out here in the next 24 hours.
The first one.
Because
although I'm not sure
because what I know, and this is by not alleging, that part of the reason why his wife checked out and said, no, we're divorcing, is because of his relationship with Epstein.
Yeah, that's
all right. She's publicly said this. This is not speculation.
That's exactly right.
She's insinuating that he was doing some stuff on that island that he shouldn't have been doing. And I'm just saying, if you put the video out there, it's going to make it really hard for him to talk about his vaccines or any of the stuff he's doing or the amount of money that he wants to use in third world countries.
It's going to make that hard for a lot of people.
You're going to go, wow, who really is a creeper?
Yes, and there's many, many more. I'm not convinced we'll ever see it. I'm not convinced at all that we'll ever see that all of that stuff will ever see the light of day. Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. When we come back, the Chinese trade deal was announced, but what does it actually mean for you? Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Monday, May 12th. The Atlanta Braves dropped 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh over the weekend, including a 4-3 walk-off loss yesterday afternoon. The Braves now move on to D.C. for a 4-game series against the Washington Nationals beginning tonight. That'll be Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Jake Irwin. First pitch is set for 7:15. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics look to even up their series with the New York Knicks at 2 games apiece tonight in New York. That game is the early tip-off at 7:30. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors play Game 4 of their series with the T-Wolves leading 2-1. That's going to be the 10 o'clock tip-off this evening. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Chuck is the owner of Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Awesome dude. Such a great guy. Runs one of the very few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta, and he's doing it again, the 5th annual Christmas in July, benefiting Skyland Trail. That's a nonprofit leading the way with mental health wellness here in Atlanta. They provide expert, evidence-based treatment to help people facing mental health challenges find the path to recovery. So here's what you do. Here's how you can help yourself and help Skyland Trail. When you sign up for a maintenance agreement, the folks at Central come out to your house a couple times a year, just tune up the HVAC. Just like any other piece of machinery, it needs to be oiled and greased, and it needs to be tuned up. No different than your car. And you do it all the time for your car, right? You change your oil every 3,000, 5,000 miles, whatever the number is these days. But this is something that they'll come out and do for your house, and $10 of that new agreement goes directly to Skyland Trail, providing that life-changing care for those that need it most. Sign up. The more people that sign up, the bigger and better we can make Christmas in July. Central services all makes and models. With them, you're never a number. You're a member of the family. Here's how you get a hold of them. 770-GET-HEAT is the number, or go to centralheat.com.
Hey, it's Front Office Lowe's here to tell you about a new company that is changing the way people buy their next pre-owned car or truck. At The Honest Car Guy, they offer a completely transparent way to purchase a vehicle. You pay what he pays, plus a small, honest fee. You can choose any make or model. He will search the country for the best deal out there. He'll handle the paperwork, your trade-in, shipping, and even give you the bill of sale. Friends, I've done the research, and this is a buying process that you can trust. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1 or visit online at honestcarguy.com.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 3 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffers from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. We provide testosterone replacement therapy, the P-shot, and treatment for ED, PE, and Peyronie's disease. There's not just one therapy that can solve these complex issues. When you visit our clinic, you're going to see me. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. 404-777-1911. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. 404-777-1911. Online at tbtofga.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. That is, until they meet the Warrior Alliance. The Warrior Alliance goes the extra mile to reach veterans in their communities so they do not have to take this journey alone. With over 40 partners across 10 service areas, your donation goes a long way toward achieving maximum impact for a veteran and their family. Go to thewarrioralliance.org to donate today and commit to helping the Warrior Alliance change thousands of lives for the better.
When it comes to preparing for a crisis, it doesn't matter if you're a year early, a month early, or a day early, but you can't be a day late. That's why millions of Americans trust My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest preparedness company. Right now, you can get their 4-week emergency food supply, plus an incredible bonus, 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's an extra 12 days worth of food, absolutely free. This kit provides hearty, delicious meals for 4 weeks with 2,000 plus calories per day, 12 essential vitamins and minerals, and a shelf life of up to 25 years. And for a limited time, they're including 12 additional days of food absolutely free, which means right now is the best time to get prepared. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com today to claim your 4-week food kit, plus an extra 12 days of free food. Offer ends soon. Shop MyPatriotSupply.com today. MyPatriotSupply.com.
From the latest breaking news to the conservative voices you know and trust, your best new follow on social media is Extra 1063. We're at XTRA 1063 on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and LinkedIn, and pretty much any social media you scroll through every day. And we drop exclusive giveaways, new daily content, and the latest breaking news from Georgia and across this great nation. Interact with your favorite Extra personalities. Get the latest on our live events and so much more. Follow at Extra 1063 across all your social media and keep up with Atlanta's only conservative voice.
We had a story last week, Jen Psaki, when she was coming down on Donald Trump. She was saying, oh, this guy says he's the negotiator in chief. He's the deal maker, art of the deal maker. And he's not done anything. I think it was maybe Thursday. And then Friday, the big announcement with India comes out. You know, she's like, well, oops, damn. Didn't expect that to happen.
Only took 12 hours to be proven wrong. No wonder you lost half your audience.
That's right. Yeah, no kidding. Because that's the report out. That since she's taken over that Maddow spot, half the audience has gone away.
Yeah, first night, grand opening. Next night, grand half closing.
That's exactly right. But they just keep, they just keep rolling it out there, saying the same stuff. And the trade dominoes continue to fall. That meeting in Switzerland with the Chinese has produced a deal. I'm trying to celebrate it a little bit, but I don't trust the Chinese at all.
Well, let's face it.
But this is a good domino.
This is a test period. What you're going to have, according to this deal, is we have a 90-day window on each side where the tariffs are going to be pulled way back. For instance, American goods, rather than being tariffed at, I think it's like 125%, are going to be down to 10%. The same thing with the Chinese goods. Rather than being tariffed at 145%, it goes to 10%. And so this is a 90-day window of we have a deal. Let's see how this affects our economies. By the way, I hope you have stock.
Yes.
All right, watch what happens in the market today.
It's going to explode.
But I want you to take a listen. This is Jamison Greer. And this is what, as we've talked about it on this radio program, talked about how we're the biggest consumer society in the world. The Chinese, with their cheaper goods and some of their more expensive goods, the electronics, need to find their way into America. They have to have it for their economy. So it's no surprise, in my opinion, that a deal got done no matter what you were hearing from any of the legacy media.
They have to have it.
They have to. And we have to have it as well. You're going to get a deal done. Take a listen to Jamison Greer as he basically points out this wasn't as hard of a deal as everybody thought.
I want to echo the Secretary's remarks with respect to the Swiss government. They've been so welcoming, and they've hosted this, and everything has gone off flawlessly, and we appreciate that. And again, to the Chinese negotiators, Vice Premier Liu He, Vice Minister Li Qiangong, and Vice Minister Liao Min worked very diligently, and these are very tough negotiators. A couple of them I know from before and have had past interactions with them. And this was, as the Secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. And we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
So that's the guy at the table with the Chinese who flat out said this wasn't this difficult to get done.
Well, it's pretty clear. I mean, their economy was coming to a show. I mean, it was slowing way down. They were injecting money into their economy. They were having to prop up businesses. And look, with a closed society, with the CCP running everything, they can do that.
Now, consider what Buck Sexton had pointed out here on Twitter or on X. And I didn't think about this until he had mentioned it. I went, wow, that's a really good point. The big picture. the legacy media, the Democrat wing, the media arm, what they have done over the past decade, basically, is gone from emergency to emergency involving Donald Trump. They don't know how to create content otherwise. So it's the price of gasoline, the price of eggs, the trade war. It's all of these. It's one after another, after another, after another. So as these deals get done, most notably with the Chinese, remember what have we had for the better part of several weeks? The price of all your goods are going up. Everything's going up. Watch out.
Shelves.
There's going to be empty shelves, and you won't have any cheap Chinese goods.
Every day.
So now you have a deal, and now you have 3 months of where they're going to see where they're at, and I'm sure there's going to be adjustments made off of this. I was concerned about intellectual property theft.
As you still should be.
That's going to be one of those concerns that I think moving forward, it'll be a broader trade agreement involving that.
Dude, fentanyl.
Technology. Fentanyl.
There's a whole lot of things that while we have them over the barrel, we better enforce. Because remember, there was a trade deal signed under Trump the last time, and they never did any, they never stuck to the agreement at all.
And so think about Buck Sexton's larger point. You can hear him on this radio station noon to 3 every weekday with Clay Travis. They now have to pivot to what's the next emergency.
Yeah.
And that's all. Everything has to be an emergency.
That's right.
As
Sky's falling!
Donald Trump keeps knocking these down like bowling pins.
That's exactly right.
And his administration, these people around him that he's got this time 2.0, are so much stronger than what he had at 1.0.
Well, that's because he got to pick them.
Yeah.
But as we've laid out
from a list
so many times, when the establishment picks the people that are in your cabinet, they're establishment people. So they're not going to be working for you. And we found that out. We saw that. This time around, completely different.
And
thank you, Lord.
And to actually see what happens when non-establishment people, in a lot of cases from a business perspective, go at a problem, they handle it with business expediency, not government expediency, which is like, we'll get into it tomorrow or next week or next year. In the meantime, the taxpayer is the one who pays for all this stuff. This is a group that, what are we now at, like 108 days? And you just got a trade deal with China done.
After the big one with India. So the dominoes are starting to fall. And maybe
after with the United Kingdom. And then even last night, you have Donald Trump announcing, all right, here's what we're going to do with prescription drugs.
Oh, that's right. United Kingdom. When I say India.
That's another one that's coming down. Now, I have my concerns about that one, but...
As do I.
But it still is movement in a direction that I think that if you wanted to take care of one of your flanks, which is the boomer, here's a way to take care of the boomer.
Yes, no doubt. But you're going to get just as much fight against this, like in the last administration. The establishment, including the Republicans, maybe even led by the Republicans, are going to fight against this tooth and nail because they all getting greased from the pharmaceutical industry.
Here's where, and we talk about moonshots, right? Like you're going after big things in this administration. You just got a trade deal done with China for the next 90 days, which I was told was impossible as of a week ago.
That's right.
And a month ago, that it was asinine to even think about invoking these tariffs.
Why would you even try?
And that it was accidental that Donald Trump managed to isolate them in the world economy. While everyone else is like, we'll take the deal. The Chinese are like, we're not doing anything. They're like, okay, well, then you watch what happens.
Absolutely.
You're not going to like how this plays out. So I'm now told that the next thing, which is trying to at least curtail some of the crazy ways in which pharmaceutical sales go on in this country versus other ones, that's crazy. No, this is just the next one.
That's exactly right.
And business people involved in business, I think that's the next one that gets done.
I think you're probably
But I am concerned about price controls, but
absolutely.
There's some stuff here where you recognize how badly you're hosed. If you ever get a breakdown of what you spend when you go to a hospital, you're like, how is that
filthy
pill $1,200?
It's filthy.
When dude over in another country pays like $8.
That's exactly right. The Europeans versus what we pay. Yeah, there's something broken in that system.
It's a big insurance scam in my mind.
Without a doubt. There's something ugly and filthy about it. All right, when we come back, AOC has a plan to get Democrats arrested. Great job.
Good for you. This is a bold strategy.
We'll talk about it next.
Monday through Saturday, we're right. But on Sunday, we turn left.
Daytona International Speedway, we love our country, and it's truly an honor to be with all of you at the Great American Race. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Your home of NASCAR is Extra 106.3.
The smallest Mercedes-Benz SUV goes big on innovation with a virtual voice assistant, dual 10.25-inch displays, and wireless CarPlay standard. A hybrid 221 horsepower Turbo 4 8-speed transmission and 18-inch wheels are wrapped in sporty style. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLA 250 SUV for just $429 per month for 36 months with $4,603 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through May 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia lemon law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
The older I get, the more I think about trust. I think about the people in my life who have my trust and earned my trust, and the trust that I have placed in some people who I later learned abused that trust. I know we're alike in that way. We don't trust a lot of people anymore. It's like we're all Ronald Reagan, trust but always verify to make sure we're not making a mistake. I find it a little exhausting, quite honestly, and that's why I started realestateagentsitrust.com. I didn't have good experiences with buying and selling my homes. So we built Real Estate Agents I Trust to introduce you to one of the thousands of agents all over the country that we work with that we have verified that they will help you have the most successful and good real estate transaction possible. Our network agents share our sensibilities, have great track records, are good and decent people, and I trust them to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're moving across town or across the country, visit realestateagentsitrust.com. The name says it all. realestateagentsitrust.com.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A wonderful family from Tennessee who adopted several children who have medical issues makes today's Dean's List. Caleb and Richala Bone say they dreamed of having a large family, but never imagined on how extraordinary their journey would become. Their first child was born with a heart condition that required surgery at just 3 months old, and that's what made them realize there were more kids out there with challenges that could use their support and love. And that's when the family began fostering and adopting kids with medical issues, including Everett, who had seizures and cerebral palsy. And there's Maurice, who needed a kidney transplant. Isabella came into their lives at 5 months old, needing open heart surgery, and they adopted her as well. Caleb and Richala are known throughout their community as angels, and they believe they have been given a rare and remarkable gift of taking care of these beautiful kids. Janice Dean, Fox News.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
The U.S. and China make a deal. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After a trade war that halted a lot of imports and exports.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, after weekend talks in Switzerland, also says that pause is bringing tariffs way down.
The U.S. reduces from 125% reciprocal tariff on all Chinese goods down to 10%. China likewise reduces their retaliatory levy on goods to 10% from 125%. But that separate 20% tariff related to fentanyl, that stays in place until I'm assuming the Trump administration feels there's meaningful change.
That's Fox Business Network. Cheryl Casoni. That deal could lead to a stock market rally. Dow futures up almost 1,000 points right now. We're waiting on another hostage release from Gaza this morning in what Hamas says is a gesture trying to get another ceasefire with Israel. It'll set Idan Alexander free, the last living American who's been held captive more than a year and a half.
Idan was born in Tel Aviv but raised in New Jersey. The 21-year-old lone soldier was serving in an elite infantry unit in the Israeli military on the border with Gaza when he was captured by Hamas during the October 7th massacre.
Well, that's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where President Trump will head later today on a trip to the Middle East. But before he leaves this morning, the president's going to sign another new order.
The president posted on Truth Social Sunday, drug prices in the U.S. are sometimes 5 to 10 times more expensive than they are in other countries. President Trump said he's going to be signing an executive order to cut drug prices.
Fox's Jill Nato. Russia launched another drone attack into Ukraine overnight after rejecting a 30-day ceasefire proposal. But there are potential direct talks between the warring countries Thursday in Turkey. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has challenged Russian leader Vladimir Putin to meet face-to-face. America's listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Extra 1063 wants to know, is this what you voted for? Call 404-741-1230 and let us know on the Morning Extra.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 1063. Glad that you're here, 404-741-1230. No matter how you listen, you can watch on the YouTube channel, the Extra 1063 YouTube channel. You can listen the traditional way, 1063 FM, 1230 AM, streaming at extra1063.com, or the best and most convenient way. I saw a person at church the other day, said, or yesterday, dear friend, said, I listen to the show all the time, but I have a hard time getting it up in North Forsyth where I am. He said, you got any ideas? And I said, I do. Download the Extra 1063 app. It is crystal clear. It doesn't matter if you're in Riyadh, like where Donald Trump is headed, the president, going to be over there working some deals, or if you're in North Forsyth or North Fulton, South Fulton, you can be in Florida on vacation, wherever you want to be, listen on the Extra 1063 app. So that reminded me to let you know that very same thing. When my buddy Patrick said, I just lose y'all sometimes, that's the fix. That's the remedy. It's quite simple.
You can take it everywhere.
That's right. Anywhere.
All the time. Anywhere you want to go.
So Donald Trump headed to the Middle East. He's trying to negotiate, trying to help negotiate, trying to maybe even force a negotiation between the Russians and the Ukrainians. They're supposed to sit down. He's already brokered the deal between India and Pakistan, a little ceasefire there. So he's got the announcement of the deal with China. For 90 days, they're going to drop the tariffs to 10% each way. So, he's racking up some wins.
Have you also noticed how quickly the lunatic left immediately turns this into, Donald Trump didn't get that deal done?
Yes.
Because there's so many that,
yes.
What is the man? He's a deal maker. He's always been a deal maker.
What he does.
That's what he does. That's how that administration is shaped. So when India and Pakistan, or Pakistan, depending on if
Pakistan.
you're in the Obama administration, when they start to go back and forth and say, well, here's what we're working on, you immediately have the other side say, see, I told you he didn't get that deal done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whatever, man. Whatever makes you feel better.
Whatever makes you sleep at night.
That's right. Well, nothing lately in the last 100 and whatever days.
It's such and this was something that was exposed to me over the weekend as I decided to entertain, the comedy from the left. Yeah, it was late night trolling. It was after the Braves game. I was having fun. Wasn't anything else I was going to do. Couldn't play any more video games or anything. I was like, let's just have some fun with some trolling.
Just toy with these people.
the self-loathing, like the way they look at themselves, and then how that becomes part of who they are and how they view everything. So even when there's a moment of accomplishment, they still have to look at it as America can't do, because they can't do. So it's got to be Donald Trump can't do either.
Has to be. It can't be anything else. They have failed and failed and failed, and they'll continue to fail because they have no message. They have no leadership.
Well, how do you wrap yourself in like a blanket of losing?
I mean, they've done it.
Like where you actually, like that's the idea of victimhood mentality. Like, I'm not a victim. You're not a victim. We would never view ourselves as victims.
Ever.
Because then you were stuck in your circumstance and there's no way to fight out of it.
Yeah. Who thinks like that? It's like these people, my sister-in-law ordered herself a weighted blanket, and she said it's wonderful. Like when she sleeps, it's just a little weight on there, and for whatever reason, it helps her sleep well. I love that. But Democrats, they don't order weighted blankets. They ordered crushing blankets. They're like, can you get me one that's so heavy? I'm like, I want it to be heavy like a car.
Make me feel bad for being me. You got one of those blankets back there?
Exactly right, dude.
I'm ashamed of being an American. You got one of those blankets back there?
Yeah, right. And the polling came out, and it's like, I think 25-30% of Americans or Democrats are ashamed, just like you said, ashamed of being an American.
It was Bill Maher who brought it up over the weekend.
That's right.
It was now what it was 56% of Democrats who were ashamed or did not want to identify as Americans.
Who's the dumbass that thinks like that? Really? Who thinks like that? I cannot imagine thinking like that. But it shouldn't be surprising. Think about how often they disparage America and disparage the American flag, and they wrap themselves in the flag of anything but America. Any cause, it doesn't matter. It could be Hamas. You got the crazy lefty loonies on college campuses wrapping themselves in Hamas flags. It just makes no sense. They hate America, yet they just will not leave. We must destroy it. We must destroy it. That's their mentality.
I have a remedy for this, and all of you can try it starting today. Now, we started off basically November 9th or 10th doing it this way, and then it moved into January. It's curtailed a little bit. I'm asking you to pick it back up, okay? Our numbers have dipped. We need to pick up our trolling, all right? So I had a friend of mine. He texted me over the weekend, and he was asking about, like, hey, did you experience the earthquake? I was like, yeah, we did. And so we got into a little bit of a chat. He now lives in Houston. You would know him as Dan Matthews, Jure. So Dan's in Houston. He's texting me about, like, hey, what was it like? I've never been through an earthquake. I'm like, it's crazy. But Dan then told me about, him and his wife are on different political ends. And he said, like, hey, I'm living your life. And so he pointed out about how she was upset about the mayor of Newark getting arrested. And she wanted to get all fired up about things. And Dan was asking me, like, well, how would you handle this? What would you do? And I said, Dan, just tell her, quote, in Trump's America, we keep the powerful accountable. And start everything with in Trump's America. She will love it. So all I'm pointing out to you is when your Aunt Peg starts saying whatever she's saying, just start off by your response is, in Trump's America, this is what we do. And when your friends get upset at the water cooler, did you see what they did over the weekend? They detained members of Congress.
Yes,
well, in Trump's America, no one's above the law.
That's right, Letitia James.
And so when they say, well, 34 felonies, well, in Trump's America, he's the president and he doesn't have to worry about fake charges. In Trump's, just keep using it. In Trump's America, America.
Overflow it. It will. It'll be beneficial to your conversation. They'll love it.
They'll love it.
They will.
It'll straighten them right up. They will get a dose of feeling American you can't even believe.
That's exactly right.
They will suddenly see the light.
So we have brushed across the whole ICE body cam footage with the confrontation with the Newark mayor that did get arrested. And then DOJ is looking at whether they should arrest LaMonica McIver, Bonnie Watson Coleman, and potentially even Rob Menendez, who they say allegedly stormed Delaney Hall Detention Center. Ross Baraka, he's the guy that mayor that did get arrested.
Well, the body cam footage says they sort of did this.
They did.
Or
yes,
did
right.
do it.
There's no alleged in the body cam footage. It is very clear what happened.
Looks pretty forceful to me.
Without a doubt.
I mean, some might say January 6th inspired.
Yes, very insurrection-like. And the difference is the lawmakers have the right to go to that facility unannounced and take a tour. They do. Guess who doesn't? The mayor of Newark. So when he pushes his way through, he gets cuffed and stuffed.
But there's also, too, and here's another part of this. Yes, they are able to, but there are conditions by which they have to inform of here's what they're doing. And right, they do have oversight. But this is also the joke where during the Biden administration, we had people on our side that wanted to see these D.C. gulags. Like, do you really have Americans in here where you don't even let them speak to their attorney? Do you keep moving them around? What was it that we had, how they would move them around on buses so they wouldn't know where they were?
That's exactly right, and would not be able to tell their lawyers where they were.
And we would keep them there in isolation, naked. Like, this is gulag, third world, old school Russian stuff that we were doing to people. And we asked for, well, can we see this oversight? And we were always told no. Well, these people just wanted into a detention center where we actually have real hardened criminals.
Yes, MS-13 members, people that have raped, murdered, killed. And these people are like, yep, we're going to go in, and we're pissed. So when they arrested the mayor, that's when the representatives went bat-ass crazy. Just lost their minds. And there's video. If I'm not mistaken, it is Representative McIver that was physically punching an ICE officer. So I hope this woman is arrested. I hope both of them are arrested. Because that's what needs to happen. If we're going to set law and order, then that's what needs to happen. Now, AOC, she's got a great plan. It is to get more Democrats arrested. Listen to this.
And now what DHS is trying to say, again, they're using public intimidation because they know that they cannot come for us all. They know that they cannot come for us all. And recently what they said is that DHS is allegedly looking into arresting members of Congress who were showing up for their legal and constitutional obligation to conduct oversight. If anyone's breaking the law in this situation, it's not members of Congress, it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's people like Tom Homan and Secretary Kristi Noem. You lay a finger on someone, on Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman, on Representative, or any of the representatives that were there, you lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Get ready for that problem. Because I'm hoping DHS is going to arrest those people, as they should be, for assaulting ICE officers. They should be arrested. And AOC, quit talking through your nose, because that is really annoying, you know? But it's the plan. This is going to be a strategy moving forward. You wait and see. They're going to use this as a strategy. We're going to do this more. It's a losing proposition, and they will get arrested, and they will continue to fail. Their numbers will continue to plummet. They'll continue to be in a tailspin.
Well, two things. The first one, please keep using her as a primary spokesperson, because no one loves being talked to like that. Like, men all around the country want to hear from a woman like that, sounding like that. It's an immediate turnoff. It's like, oh, God. I just can't handle the beat down there. It's like, no, I'm not voting for you. All right. That being said, now the next thing. What a color revolution is what we've seen executed around the world, and what's being attempted to be executed now. The body cam footage is important so that you can always dispute what the Democrats are going to say. A color revolution is when you have one end, in this case the Democrats, are trying to incite violence, so that when violence is brought upon them, they can say, wow, what a tyrannical government. That's why you don't deserve to be here. They're trying to incite this so that they can then create this notion that this Donald Trump administration and this government is now somehow violent against the people.
That's exactly right. I wrote it down as she was saying it. They're just showing up to do their duty.
It's color revolution.
And they were pushed around. Did she forget that the representatives attacked and assaulted ICE officers? Did she conveniently forget that? No, she didn't forget it. She knew exactly what she was saying. She said it that way on purpose. To your point, Los.
We've used color revolutions around the world, and they're always put forth as peaceful protests. But the basis for them is meant to create violence from the government, so that then you can now lead this charge of people that say, oh, what a tyrannical government. And you saw it. X is the perfect place to see where the seeds of this stuff, because they tried to run with it over the weekend. Look how tyrannical this government is. See, it's out of control. It's Hitler 2.0. And then the body cam came out. And that's when you went, wow, those representatives are way out of control.
Way out of line.
They're way out of line, way out of control. They're pushing and shoving. They're body slamming people. They're cursing the entire time. And at no point did I go, oh, look, there's Thomas Jefferson being assaulted.
No, not at all. I thought, man,
there's Benjamin Franklin. He was just acting like a decent person.
Those people need to be in jail. That's exactly what I thought. If you and I would have done it, if Dre would have showed up at that place and behaved the way that they did, he would have been arrested. Just like they deserve to be arrested. Just like the mayor of Newark deserved to be arrested and was. I hope DHS follows up. I hope the DOJ opens up an investigation, follows up, and arrests both of them. That way, AOC gets exactly what she wants, because she wants them to be arrested. So do I.
X was so important because by the time the Sunday shows rolled around, even on CNN, it happened even Sunday morning, when you had some of the representatives going on the Sunday morning shows to talk about how tyrannical the government was. And as they're talking, they're showing the congressman going wild. And now they don't have a leg to stand on.
That's right.
Because the video is basically completely against what they were doing. Even CNN was like, this ain't the one.
Yeah. Well,
this ain't going to work.
Isn't it funny, though? They followed it just like they're following the same script they follow with the Maryland man. It was destined to fail, because we had so much evidence that he was an MS-13 member, and he is, and everybody knows it. But that's where they decided. Remember, they went down to El Salvador. They were down there protesting.
I'm not coming back until he's released.
Exactly right. And then all of a sudden, Maryland man got changed, even in writing, on ABC.com to El Salvadorian man, because they knew they had stepped in it.
Yeah.
And now, you know what? The emblem that I see is the red jacket. That's the thing that pops out in the picture. The woman in the red jacket. Look at this, Los. She's the one that is attacking. You can't miss her.
You can't miss her.
That's going to be this is the Maryland man argument.
Yeah. This is look, they were just doing their congressional duty.
No, they weren't.
No, they were not.
No, they weren't. And they deserve to be locked up. And gosh, I hope they do. DHS officials have not yet confirmed any pending charges against those accused of storming the center, according to Fox News.
See, what I think they want to do, they really just want to inspire their constituents to carry out this sort of thing on their behalf.
That's the idea of the color revolution. You're trying to get people to rally to your cause because you've now convinced them. See, I told you it was tyrannical. I told you they're violent. Look what they did to me. That's the goal. That's the hope. So if you want to know if there was something that the Biden administration did, they recognize we've just stolen an election. Things have fallen into place. These people that showed up at the Capitol, they're the color revolution. And what did they do? They treated them the way that you have communists treat people.
They
lock them away, no access to any kind of law, no access to any kind of lawyer, no access to justice. They're political prisoners. Here's what we're going to do. And so right now they're inviting us to do the same. And what I'm saying is we keep it on the straight and narrow.
Oh, absolutely. You have to.
When you arrest them, you march them out. Like you perp walk that ass. And when you do it, you also go, here's what their charges are. And it's based on all this video we have.
Yeah, here's the evidence. At a risk of sounding like beating a dead horse to death, Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Change the game.
Salvage. It's what salvaged this country.
Can't say this enough. Because that video was out 12 hours later. Like, how often do you see body cam footage over something that the left was going to use as this was going to be, their moment? It's like, we finally got him. We got him in a violent exchange. We told you it's Hitler 2.0. We told you they're totalitarian. We told you that they're a violent group. And within 12 hours, that video is everywhere. And it turns into what you said it wasn't. Here, take a look. Here's you doing what you were doing.
Look at the red coat. Remember the red coat? That's the one she was wearing. You can't miss her hitting and assaulting the ICE agent. Like Lo said, even CNN was like, uh-oh. When we come back on Extra 106.3, the Democrats are turning on their old leader. Next on the Morning Extra, Tug and Los until 10.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
If you're thinking about a new Cadillac, don't wait. Now's the time. Head to Jim Ellis Cadillac where the price is right now. Lock in your lowest price today before prices start to rise due to new tariffs.
Right now, Jim Ellis Cadillac has more than 170 vehicles in stock, on the ground and ready to take home today.
From the iconic Escalade and the sophisticated XT5 to the innovative electric Lyric and the high-performance CT5, Jim Ellis Cadillac offers the models you know and love, along with the latest in luxury EVs.
And if you're shopping pre-owned, you'll find a great selection of certified vehicles too, thoroughly inspected and ready to roll.
But don't wait too long. Get yours today before prices go up and vehicle selection goes down. No pressure, no games, just a transparent, customer-first experience that makes buying easy. And after the sale, Jim Ellis Cadillac is still with you thanks to factory-trained technicians who will keep your Cadillac running strong.
Luxury is waiting, but with prices set to change, now's the time to buy. Visit Jim Ellis Cadillac, conveniently located on Peachtree Boulevard, just inside the perimeter.
Jim Ellis Cadillac, where you can always expect the best.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Are home repairs piling up? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Relax. We've got you covered. From drywall dings and leaky faucets to deck repairs and trim replacement, we're your one-stop shop for everything for your home needs. No more juggling multiple contractors. Just call us at the Trusted Toolbox and we'll handle it. Your home deserves the best, and we don't want you breaking your back trying. Call the Trusted Toolbox today at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. The Trusted Toolbox, your one-stop shop for home repairs and more.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes. After that transformation, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
Securing America.
This is National Police Week, honoring those who keep us safe and secure all year long. Events began Sunday with a National Police K-9 Memorial Service and will continue throughout the week. The annual Candlelight Vigil, held in honor of those who lost their lives in the line of duty, will be held Tuesday, and the annual Peace Officers Memorial Service will take place Thursday. Those we lost will have their names engraved on the memorial wall in Washington, D.C. Craig Floyd is the CEO Emeritus of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund.
More than 4 million Americans contributed money to make sure that this monument was built. And now we have a National Law Enforcement Museum right across the street to tell the stories behind the names on these walls.
147 law enforcement officers were killed in the line of duty during the 2024 calendar year. National Police Week runs through Saturday. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
I'm Anna Eliopoulos with your Fox True Crime Minute. A potential stumbling block for the Menendez brothers' quest for freedom. A Friday hearing in Los Angeles revealed more details from a state parole board risk assessment ordered by California Governor Gavin Newsom's office. According to LA County DA Nathan Hochman, the report determined they are more likely to reoffend.
They determined that each of the Menendez brothers constituted moderate risks of violence, which was higher than the prior determinations of low risk of violence.
Citing instances of both brothers in recent months using contraband cell phones, and also Eric being flagged during his incarceration for possessing and dealing drugs, and even helping other inmates commit tax fraud. The report was requested as the governor considers clemency for the siblings and will be taken into consideration at their resentencing hearing, which begins on Tuesday. There's more on this story at foxnews.com or subscribe to the Fox True Crime Podcast. I'm Anna Eliopoulos with your Fox True Crime Minute.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, May 12th. Hundreds of flights were delayed at Hartsfield-Jackson on Sunday. A ground stop was issued around noon due to runway equipment issues. Some delays are lingering into today. The FAA says another ground stop is possible. Check your flight status before heading to the airport. Cleanup is continuing after a train derailment in Smyrna on Friday. CSX said there were no injuries and no hazardous waste was released into the area. Investigation into the cause is still ongoing. And the U.S. and China have agreed to roll back most tariffs for 90 days as negotiations on a trade deal continue. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will come down to 30% from 145%, and the Chinese will lower their rates on American goods to 10%. Today's weather: rain and isolated storms continue throughout the metro area and look to be here until Wednesday. Temperatures will be relatively low in the 70s, but we're warming back up into the 80s by the end of the week. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group.
J Payne, y'all, J Payne.
JP, baby, you okay? You good?
We good.
I'm just wanting to celebrate him as if like we're in concert. Like he just finished giving you a big old set.
That's right. He just played this huge guitar solo.
You're like, Jerry Payne, y'all!
Dude, it's funny. You say that. Eddie Vedder did that 2 or 3 times at the Pearl Jam show, pointing out Mike McCready's guitar playing.
Cool.
It was like when they hit off Alive, and then after it was done, he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to work with that guy every night. I can't. Every night he plays that guitar solo, and it's even better every time I hear it. Mike McCready, everybody in the stadium.
Headlines aren't always that exciting. Every now and then.
They should be.
That one was.
That one was, and they should be. Jared Payne.
Yeah.
Jared Payne, everybody.
Jared Payne, everybody.
Here for the duration.
Listen, sometimes it's more of just like the melancholy solo.
Yeah.
So Jerry's just kind of giving you some of the news. That one was more of like, you're right, the last little bit of Alive.
Yeah.
And bring it home.
Dude, when that's so good. God, so good. Or they're right at the end of Yellow Ledbetter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it just hits you right in your soul. That's what Jerry's headlines did right there. Right in my soul.
Yeah,
I'm glad we were able to inspire this morning.
It wasn't even so much for me or for Tug. That was for the listeners.
Well, I know, but I benefited from it too.
Yeah, like they're in the car and they're like, woo, like somebody's smoking a cigarette right now. They're like, man, that was intense. You got to get me a heater.
Goodness. Pull over if you need to.
Up their sleeves.
Goodness.
Good Lord.
That Jerry Payne.
Dude, it's the delivery, it's the beard, it's the perfect hair. Goodness gracious, he's good looking.
That's a Monday for you.
That's exactly
That's what he's doing.
Oh, Lord. By the way, 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call, vansantlaw.com. Here's the thing. Poor Chuck Schumer. He wants to feel like Jure feels. You know, after that guitar solo, after that delivery of the news, he wants to feel appreciated. He wants to feel loved, embraced even. But unfortunately for Chuck Schumer, he is not.
No, not at this point. So Mike Lawler, now he's a representative. He's a Republican out of New York. And he was on Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday night. And he pointed out the obvious because, remember, Chuck Schumer he's a state representative. He's in the Senate, and obviously he's the highest-ranking Democrat in the entirety of the party. And so they got in a conversation about what is going on in New York. And if you haven't seen it, right now, AOC, amongst her constituents, they can't stand her. Like, cannot stand her in her district.
I can't imagine it's because of that delivery she told us about. We need to beat up the cops more.
You gotta do this.
Oh, dude, if I had to as pretty as I think she is, if I had to listen to her talk for more than about 30 seconds, I would lose my mind.
You ever had a date or a time with somebody where you said, I can't handle this because of her voice?
I never have, but I've seen it in movies.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I know
Yes.
You've experienced
bad voice or a bad laugh.
Yeah.
Bad laugh is really a deal breaker.
Bad voice.
And I'm sure ladies could flip the script and be like, I went out with a dude that's got a horrible laugh.
No. He bites his fingernails.
Yeah. Well,
that's what they should be saying. I told you take care of your hands. You're gainfully employed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you have to have great hands. You can have like worker hands. But as long as it doesn't look like you did like neglected your hands, like Tug Coward and I.
Yeah.
Because this means that there's something wrong with us.
I'm in that
Dude,
group
I
too.
bite my fingernails. It's the grossest habit.
I don't even know when I'm doing it. It's just suddenly I look up and I'm like, I did just do that.
Yeah, you're sitting.
It just happened. So
it does. It's so gross though.
So
But
yeah,
yes, to the point.
AOC fits that criteria.
Yes,
Of like,
she
I was like, I
does.
just can't handle the
Dear.
voice. It just can't handle it. So I want you to take a listen though. So here is Mike Lawler, and he's talking about what's going on. Again, AOC not cared for by her constituents, yet when the primary question comes up, which is running for Senate in the state of New York, she's polling significantly ahead of Chuck Schumer because they look at Chuck as, you made the deal with Donald Trump, you're now dead to us. The same way we talked about Gretchen Whitmer. AOC is actually in that line of, I'm going to be the new resistance, and that's why people will vote for me. Take a listen to what Lawler had to say about Schumer's future.
Some of these people don't know when it's time to go. They don't. Chuck Schumer has been in elected office for 50 years. 1974, he was first elected. 50 years. AOC will absolutely kick his ass in a primary. She is the leader of the Democratic Party in this moment, and will continue to be, I think, the biggest driver of where the party goes from a governmental policy standpoint. And that drives many of my colleagues crazy. But the fact is, she has tapped into the base of support within the Democratic Party. And you see the juxtaposition between her and Chuck Schumer. I'm writing a strongly worded letter. Oh, sit the down, Chuck. It's time.
Okay, first off, that's pretty good. Second, that's pretty funny from a Republican representative out of New York. But he's got the pulse of it from being in the state. Right now, you wonder why we always have all this resistance and why the response from everyone in office publicly is to disagree with everything Donald Trump, where we talk about 80-20 issues. Like, for instance, we talked about to open up, to close last hour and to get into this first hour. You have Donald Trump looking to go after pharmaceutical sales and how much money the pharmaceutical companies are making off prescription drugs and to curtail that number. What the Democrats are going to do is align themselves with Big Pharma. Now, that's an 80-20 issue. But if you see what happens, if you don't align with that 20, you get Chuck Schumer, you get Gretchen Whitmer. AOC is going to make sure she stays on the 20%. Now, I don't know if that means you can be elected nationally, but at least it keeps you with a future in the Democrat Party.
Can you imagine telling people that, hey, Trump's going to try to, and we both have our concerns about cost controls, right? We're on the front of that. We want to make that clear.
That is my first and foremost concern when I read, but the plan was that prescription drug prices can be as high as 50% larger. And so the cut that he's looking to see is, why don't we cut our pricing by 80 to 50% in that range so that we're more in line with the rest of the world? And if we have to buy our pharmaceuticals from other countries to keep the prices down, that's what we'll do.
It. So can you imagine, though, being on the flip side, being AOC and said, hey, he's going after prescription drug prices. Nope, we're going to align ourselves with pharmaceutical companies. Can you imagine? That's like standing with your arm around the devil. Beelzebub is in your picture, and you're giving the thumbs up like you just want to rally. You know what I mean? That is what it's going to look like for most Americans. That picture will be seared into their minds. And I don't know that if you do that, if you do that, I don't know that you can win, because the American people know they're getting screwed with prescription drugs. They know it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Again, we have our reservations about how you get it done. We're not in favor of cost control and price control. There's got to be a way of navigating this so it works, so it's not anti-American. But the Republicans are going to be just as staunch against this like they were the first time when Trump was in office.
And so AOC is going to take the road that she's supposed to. I'm completely against whatever Donald Trump is for. Gretchen Whitmer found out. Gretchen Whitmer was one of the front runners along with Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg, every single time he talks, there's more of like, nope, that's not going to work. Chuck Schumer is the highest ranking Democrat in the entirety of the country, and yet his name is mud because he was working with Donald Trump. That's just the mentality. It's insane.
All you have to do is say something nice about him. It could be as simple as that, and you're out.
I asked if I was a Democrat, and if I happen to, let's say, be a Democrat out of an unlikely event, but let's say I'm out of Nashville, I'm out of Tennessee. One of the things I'm going to deliver to my constituents is that, yes, I voted for this big, beautiful bill because here were the amount of tax cuts. Here's what the amount of money that was going to be saving from not taxing your tips or not taxing overtime. These are areas that I can claim a victory. The problem is that I will have no further political aspirations outside of my district, and somebody else who's more communist than I will is going to come along and primary me.
Because all of those things are things that Donald Trump has said he wants to do. and you cannot agree with him. You cannot be seen with him. You cannot do anything aligned with him, or you're out.
And by the way, I'm a Democrat in this case, in this scenario, from a blue city surrounded in a deep red state. And that's the way it'll play out.
It's funny. I've seen Harold Ford Jr. talk about this a lot on social media. I see clips from there on the 5, and he's basically saying the exact same thing. He says, I would be in favor of these things that Donald Trump is talking about. And the reason I bring him up is because he was a representative from Tennessee.
Yeah, from Memphis, Tennessee.
And he talks about those same things. The places that the Democrats should be in line with Donald Trump but are choosing to go the opposite direction to their own detriment.
They can't.
They cannot. Can you imagine that? What a way to be handcuffed. You can't do what's best for your constituency because you'll be kicked out.
I'm against South American drug dealers and drug cartels and gangsters. Well, I'm not. And I'm going to fight you on this.
What do you think of that?
What do you think about that?
Well, AOC said it. We played the clip of AOC when she said, we're going to get more people arrested. We're going to attack detention facilities.
And I'm the one who's crazy.
Yes,
like
Lois,
I'm the one in the cult. I thought this was a really good point that I read over the weekend. And I'm trying to remember. It was somebody was involving Charlie Kirk and including Dave Smith, the comedian. They talked about how it was Tim Pool. Now I think about it. Tim Pool.
When they were talking about the abortion issue?
No. He was just talking about in general. He said, I can go to Charlie Kirk, who is a strong Christian conservative. Yep. I can go talk with Dave Smith, who is a libertarian. He goes and speaks every single year the Libertarian Party gets together. He's like, we can all have a conversation. We're going to laugh. We're going to learn from each other. Then we're going to have beers after. He's like, I try to get liberals on my show, and they will not come on. And you can't have a discussion with them because if you get outside the orthodoxy, they cut you out immediately. So how am I in a cult for bringing up the reasons why I think you should be voting for this?
3 people that I disagree with on issues. And the reason I bring up is because the clip I saw of that was he was talking about abortion. He was like, he and Charlie and I see it differently because Poole's an independent. Yeah. He's more of a libertarian. And he was like, I can go sit down with Charlie, who disagrees with me vehemently about abortion specifically. That is one of those TNT issues. Yeah. And we can sit down and talk. He was like, I would never be able to do that with a Democrat.
And that is where, like, even on this show, we have, like, Tug and I would say probably about 85% of the way on abortion.
That's right.
I have talked about the difference when I talk about nuance. I talk about how if I am running for national office as a Republican, I am not talking about it. And Donald Trump didn't. He basically said it's going back to the states. The states will decide it. Now, Tug's point was he wanted to wear on his chest, hey, I'm completely against this. This is how I feel about it. And that's his right to do so and to feel that way. My concern was I don't know how you get elected nationally if that's your point. Now, that's our beliefs. It still comes from the same area, but we looked at it slightly differently. That's a discussion that we can have on this program.
And we often do.
And that is not the discussion that happens on the other side. Again,
Ever.
I should be able, as a Democrat, to say, you know what, I want to cut the middle class's taxes because I want to save you some money because I'm from a red state. I'm in a blue city in a red state, and I want to save you some money. That's a winning message, and they can't do it.
AOC would call you out because she is the de facto leader of that party.
You can't say that.
Have you skewered. You would not... You'd never be able to run for office again, as you've said. She would make sure of it.
If she happens to take
down... And her ilk. People like her.
If she happens to take down Chuck Schumer in a primary...
Which is coming.
And now she becomes the de facto leader...
Which is coming.
Things get even more extreme on their side.
And it's hard to wrap your head around that, really. Can you imagine being more hard left than they are right now?
Because Chuck Schumer is a survivor. I mean, he's done this thing for 50 years.
He's like a cockroach in nuclear war.
He knows which way the wind's blowing and how to play it. Like, that's Chuck Schumer. That's politics. That's how you stay in D.C. You're a slimy person who's done this thing for 50 years. Yes.
Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy's probably the best of all of them.
Which way is the wind blowing?
But they knew how to navigate it.
That is not what's coming up with this new faction of Democrat. It is hardcore, do not bend to any of the stuff, even if it'll help the people voting for you.
Even the Republicans that we don't like are more like Chuck and Nancy, right? They navigate it because they see which way the wind's blowing, and that's the way they go. And we don't like that. We would prefer them be conservatives, right? That's what we're looking for. But they've become survivors in the swamp of D.C. That is not allowed on the other side.
I can't stand them
either, but...
Like Thomas Massey, who won't go.
Who I love.
With a lot of additional spending. Like, that is not what he is.
Love it.
That's not what he votes for. That's not what he stands for. But yet, he's respected because
it's exactly right.
He's trying to keep government's hooks off of you.
That's right.
Okay.
And the difference is he's not being primaried.
No, whereas the other side is trying to basically be like, how do we get government hooks deep inside you?
And if you push back at all, you are out. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 Tug and Los until 10. The app is the best way to listen. Download that free for Apple and Android because it is crystal clear no matter where you are. North Forsyth, South Fulton, doesn't matter. When we come back, Scott Jennings uses simple common sense logic to destroy the Democrat panel that he always sits with on CNN. Next on Extra.
The Morning Extra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
Hey, it's Los. Let's talk about Tom, the honest car guy. Now, I know you've heard the spots, okay? They run here, they run on our sister station. You're like, Tom, what makes him the honest car guy? It's his process, all right? Plain and simple, it's his process. What does Tom do? Well, Tom used to run dealerships on a regular basis for years and years and years. And then when he decided to go independent and do his own thing, it became about, well, let me make this easier for my clientele. Here's what you do. You reach out to Tom over at honestcarguy.com, or you can give him a call, 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME1. And here is what Tom's going to do for you. He's going to ask you, what make and model are you interested in? Once you determine that, he's now going to lay out options for you. Now, here's the cool part. He's going to take you along for the ride. Like, you will jump on the computer with Tom, and he'll start showing you all the access to all the vehicles he has around the country. He's going to show you exactly what he's going to pay for that vehicle. You're going to be part of it. And he's also going to show you, hey, by the way, here's where a dealership tacks on this fee, and this fee. This is how they make their money. This is what you're saving. It's going to save you thousands of dollars in the process. Tom's going to educate you. It's very simple. And we're not talking about going to a dealership for like 5 or 6 hours. You don't have time for that. We're talking about being able to jump on and, hey, if you want to spend 15 minutes with Tom, well, he'll get it taken care of in 15 minutes. You want to spend an hour to learn everything? Hey, his time is yours. That's what he's committed to doing. And then at that point, you make that transaction and he charges you an honest fee. That's the process. That's how it goes. I've walked through this process with Tom. When I purchase the next vehicle, probably for my daughter, as she's going to come up on 16 here in about a year or so, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call Tom. Can do that at 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Monday, May 12th. The Atlanta Braves dropped 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh over the weekend, including a 4-3 walk-off loss yesterday afternoon. The Braves now move on to D.C. for a 4-game series against the Washington Nationals beginning tonight. That'll be Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Jake Irwin. First pitch is set for 7:15. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics look to even up their series with the New York Knicks at 2 games apiece tonight in New York. That game is the early tip-off at 7:30. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors play Game 4 of their series with the T-Wolves leading 2-1. That's going to be the 10 o'clock tip-off this evening. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire Today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing: flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number.
800-588-2300 Today.
Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
May in the A is in full swing, and you don't want to miss a minute of the fun at Truist Park. May 12th through the 15th, the Nationals come to town. And on May 14th, fans can receive a Marcell Ozuna bobblehead presented by Delta, and his head and his arms bobble.
Stretch in the pitch, swung on, hook down the left field line, that ought to do it. Verdugo around third. He can just waltz home. Marcell Ozuna does walk it off again.
And take advantage of some great deals during the series, including $10 tickets, $1.99 hot dogs, $3.99 Miller High Life, and select parking is only $10. The fun continues with a weekend series against the Padres, May 23rd through the 25th, built by the Home Depot. Fans are in for a treat with 3 exciting giveaways, including the Home Depot bucket hat, kids drawstring bag in celebration of Georgia families, and a baby blue kids visor all in one weekend. Visit Braves.com/May-in-the-A to see all the fun going on this May and purchase your tickets. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves Country.
This is Bruce Hagan, the people's lawyer. When I started my firm, it was with the idea of providing personal representation for personal injury cases. We treat everybody like family, and it makes me so proud to work with my son to provide a great family-oriented law firm.
This is Matt Hagan. As a father-son team, we know the importance of working together to get our clients back on their feet. Let us here at Hagan Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at Hagan-Law.com.
Hagan-Law.com.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Pete, and here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
The art of journalism, you present facts in an objective and unbiased way so that people will have no idea how you personally feel about the subject. Now, look at journalism today. Donald Trump is deporting 2-year-olds. A blatant lie. He's a threat to democracy. On and on. May I remind you, please, or tell you if you didn't already know, that among the people out there who call themselves journalists, the reporters, the producers, the editors, over 90% of them, probably around 95 or 96% of them, voted for Kamala Harris. And they always vote Democrat.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
I had to use my GPS navigation on my cellular telephone to get to my sister-in-law's house off Pilgrim Mill.
Loser.
Because I was so far north. I was trying to figure out where in the world I was off Pilgrim Mill, exit 16 off 400. And as I was getting off the exit to go visit my sister-in-law, Stacy, because Stacy's sister, my niece, just turned 16. Sweet 16.
Oh,
She's
sweet.
a sweetheart. She goes to North Forsyth.
Okay.
Just an absolute doll. I love her to death. The reason we just connect on music. She loves vinyls. She loves Pearl Jam.
Oh, that's cool.
She's much like your daughter.
Yeah.
And that she's found that 90s decade of music that she's just fallen in love with. She loves much like Maddie does.
When my daughter said, I want to go see Smashing Pumpkins,
Yes.
I was like, super cool.
And that's the way Kira is. She loves Smashing Pumpkins. She loves Pearl Jam. She loves Nirvana. She loves it all. Anything from that decade, that era of music, she totally loves. So we went up there for her Sweet 16. But as I was getting off the exit, I was like, good Lord. If I were to go visit Lowe's, it's another 15 minutes.
No, it's not that far.
It's another 25 minutes.
From where you were exiting.
On the edge of the earth.
You know where Delanig is? Go 20 minutes north. No, okay, from where you exit.
Earthquake was the epicenter.
That's right.
Nearly.
Medina household.
My house fell down.
He could physically touch Knoxville.
It was like the cartoon where like the actual roof pops up and down on the house. That's exactly what happened.
Awesome.
No, I'd say probably when you exited, probably about 5 minutes from right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just right around the corner. In fact, so much of the stuff that we go to is off of 16, 17, 18,
but here's the thing.
and 14.
I want to give you some background. See, Los threw himself under the bus. He didn't know this was coming.
I did, but it was awesome.
He says, I used to give Adam Gillespie the road dog. He is the technical operations guy for 680 The Fan, behind the scenes, and for the Georgia Bulldogs. Anything you hear on the radio, he's pushing the buttons to make it happen.
Every football game you hear, Road Dog is at the one.
Too, right?
Basketball, too.
Yeah.
He's running all the technical operations on that. That's why you ever hear Road Dog Adam Gillespie, that's who's doing it.
That's exactly right. The coolest dude. I was just telling Los, he's hard to figure out because he loves to make the situation awkward. Like, whatever you're talking to him about, he figures out a way to make it awkward. And that's his personality. But he's brilliant. He does everything the right way. But Los used to just give Adam Gillespie a hard time about having a stick to walk down the mountain to get to work. And now Los is literally in his backyard.
I used to joke around with Adam that because he lived in Dahlonega, I was like, do you have to take your walking stick into work and you gotta come into town to get word from Ma and Pa about what's going on?
I brought the news back.
Adam brought it. And now I live like 5 minutes from Adam.
No kidding.
You're the one with possums in your backyard.
That's right. I got possums and snakes on the deck.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm getting real close to Dahlonega.
Dude, I love it. Dahlonega is beautiful. I love
North Georgia mountains.
Me too, dude. Because I grew up in Northwest Georgia, up in the mountains, up in Dalton, and so I love it. We were just over the hill from LJ and Blue Ridge, and let me tell you, you're not far from Dahlonega when you get over in that area, and not far from Los anymore. So you're basically you're on the outskirts of where I grew up.
I was told that within about a year that I'd be the mayor of the area. Now, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
I think it's less.
But I'm working on it.
I think it's less than a year.
I got to wait for football season.
My money's on less than a year before Los is the mayor.
Pool season, because I want to go to the pool this weekend and be at the pusher. Like, I'm the guy who brings, like, too much alcohol, and I'm like, here, take this.
Here, have this.
But the weather did not comply, so maybe we'll see about this weekend.
Gosh, I hope so. And then the boys are getting invited over at some point, Jeray.
Yeah, that's the plan.
We need to etch that down because
listen,
we can't let him out.
My wife is trying to throw something together for Saturday.
Love it.
And I might see about, hey, do we got a couple more spots on the dance card? Because it's a couple of old neighbor friends.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why not have some more people?
There we go. Why not make it big?
Come on, string up a hammock.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
You got to carve out space inside for me.
Listen, there's a Jerry bedroom when you're ready.
All right.
An old Jeray day. Just you have too many cocktails. You're like,
that's right.
I can't ease out of here. I'm gonna have to ease into this little spare bedroom.
Listen,
find me a little nook.
I'll get you both a little bit tipsy, and y'all can stay together, go full size.
Jeray, can I cuddle with you?
Good for fries.
Are we sleeping together?
I'm tired and hungry. I know I need some fries.
Is there any more potatoes around here?
So can you fry them up? And Jeray, can I spoon with you?
You know what spooning leads to?
I'm afraid to ask. Actually, I don't. I'm afraid to ask. For real. Though, Scott Jennings, he dismantles every night. CNN knows that they have a treasure.
Yeah,
they know it.
They gave him the new contract.
Without a doubt.
They know that there's and this is my suggestion to MSNBC. Like, quit doing the Rachel Maddows and the Jen Psaki's. Find somebody who's, like, annoyingly conservative. Put Tucker Carlson on your network and let him go to work on your audience. You want to talk about appointment television? Because right now...
Even if they hate it, they'll be there. It's like Howard Stern.
Yes. Right now, you have Jennings as that reason that people tune in to CNN, not only to see what he's going to do to the panel, but to see what he's going to do to their viewership. And they love him for it. They love him. Take a listen. Remember, we had Joe Biden, who last week talked about how he would have beaten Donald Trump, and here's what would have happened when he was on The View. Listen to Scott Jennings as all he does. He just takes your argument and he gives it back to you. Take a listen to him tear apart this idea from Joe Biden.
Hold on, but let me ask you a question, though. He said he wasn't surprised that she lost, but that he would have won the race. That's like saying, well, I was a boat anchor on my vice president, so she drowned in this election, but the anchor itself would have floated. That's crazy talk for him to say that.
He did not say that he would have won the race.
He literally said,
he's like,
I wasn't surprised, but I would have won. The idea that he believes to this day. Here's one more issue.
I mean, he not only said that.
Now they're just blabbermouth and whatever. Now,
because Anna Navarro was trying to say he didn't, and Abby Phillips had to jump in, the Democrat, and say, nah, he actually didn't say it.
That's exactly what he said. That was his entire point, was Joe Biden's, was he tried to admonish himself that what she was running on was anything other than what had happened while they were in office.
Right.
That's why she sank. And Joe was already behind in terms of the polling by more than 100 electoral votes.
But I love the analogy. It's like saying my anchor would have floated.
Yeah.
And as an old Navy man, I appreciate that.
My anchor ended up drowning the VP, but it would have floated. It had been me.
That's exactly right.
That's a very simple analogy to see how ridiculous that is. Like, what a great point.
Completely absurd. And Scott Jennings, but he does it every night. It'd be different if they got him. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody get him. Like, take his logic and turn it against him, and it worked because he's just common sense. He's just speaking the truth.
I'm telling you, he is a star 30, 45 seconds at a time. Because I don't watch any CNN. I told you, I don't watch cable news. I do not watch any cable news. The most cable news I ever watch is the 90 seconds that I look up to one of our monitors in the studio. I do not consume it. I want to have my own ideas.
It's bad for you.
It's just, to me, I think you just need to get away from that stuff. And also, I want to have my own ideas. I'm not looking to do somebody else's show.
But that's the other thing, dude, is that everything that they lay out there is meant to either tell you exactly what you want to hear, in Fox's case.
Yep.
Or every other network is, I want to say something so outlandish, or at least it'll appear to be outlandish. For them, it probably won't be. That way you continue. They're both feeding their audiences the same thing. What all it is here's what you want to hear, and we're giving it to
Donald Trump on Truth Social last night, when he had his suggestion when it came to the pharmaceutical industry, Tug and I, unprompted, have not talked to one another, said the same thing this morning. I have concern about price controls.
Immediately.
That was the very first thing that we said. Now, we weren't consuming any network television. It was just the first thing of, okay, it better explain this to me, because I already spent time going after Kamala Harris with this stuff on 3% margins.
Our TV turned on once this entire weekend, and we watched the finale of House of David. That's the only thing we watched. Otherwise, we play Rummy. That's what we did for Mother's Day. I'm like Los, man, just uninterested. Abby Phillips, speaking of, had to acknowledge the obvious truth on her CNN show next on Extra.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Are you a bit curious about artificial intelligence? I am, so I've been reading some books. Finally hit on something that was rather alarming, but let me build up to that. Artificial intelligence in search engines. You've probably experienced this. If you search for gourmet food, the next time you go online and search for some clothing, maybe a golf shirt, some slacks, you are going to be directed to expensive clothing. It won't have a George label on it like much of my clothing. That's a certainty. Now let's step artificial intelligence up a bit to playing chess. It was many years ago that a computer first beat Garry Kasparov, the reigning world champion. But lately, things a little more scary. There's an artificial intelligence program out there that is so good at chess, it uses moves that have never, ever been considered by any reigning world champion. Moves totally off the wall. Strategies nobody has ever thought of before, including, for instance, sacrificing your own queen in order to get a strategic advantage that'll allow you to win the game. Okay, you sacrifice the most powerful piece on the board to get an eventual win. Now, let's take it to artificial intelligence in warfare. What if you feed all of the available information about your forces, the enemy, everybody into a computer, and it says, in order to win this battle, you have to sacrifice this element of yours over there. In other words, you have to let the enemy kill a bunch of your own men. I don't think that's going to happen. And the result may be you're going to lose. Will we have military commanders in the future that would follow that path dictated by artificial intelligence? Something to think about. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
War ceasefire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Between the U.S. and China,
a 90-day pause and substantially move down the tariff levels.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, after weekend talks in Switzerland, the tariffs that had halted a lot of imports and exports will drop way down. Both countries slashing them by 115%. So the U.S. will now have a 30% charge on Chinese goods. China's tariff 10% now on American products. And on Wall Street, a stock market rally is brewing. Dow futures are up 1,000 points. We're waiting on a hostage release today from Gaza. As Hamas pushes for another ceasefire with Israel, it'll set Idan Alexander free, the last living American hostage still held captive. He's from New Jersey, but was an Israeli soldier when captured in 2023. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reads a statement from the Alexander family.
The greatest gift imaginable. News that our beautiful son Idan is returning home after 583 days in captivity in Gaza. We express our deepest gratitude to President Trump, Steve Witkoff, and the U.S. administration for their tireless work to make this happen.
Now, the president is also continuing to push for an end to the war in Ukraine, and now this.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he'll be in Turkey on Thursday and wants Russian leader Vladimir Putin to meet him there to talk directly about ending the war. This all came about after President Donald Trump insisted Ukraine throw out their demand for a ceasefire before peace talks take place. The Kremlin's not confirmed or denied if President Putin is willing to take part.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Before President Trump takes off for Saudi Arabia this morning on a Middle East trip, he'll sign an executive order aiming to lower prescription drug prices. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt just told Fox it's a very big deal
for American families and especially our seniors who have been ripped off by very large and rich pharmaceutical companies.
America's listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Coffee, keys, and extra 106.3. That's how I get to work and home.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. We're so glad that you're here. We appreciate the time that you spend with us, and we hope we're talking about things that are impactful to you, impactful to the city that we live in, impactful to the conversation about politics and what's happening with the presidency, what's happening with our country, and the fact that we're trending in the right direction. You got to feel good about that. You have to feel better about that. And we want to encourage you to listen on the Extra 106.3 app. There's a lot of ways to listen, but the app is the best way to listen because you can always listen. Crystal clear, digital technology. It's CD quality sound. Remember when they used to say that? That used to be a thing. CD quality sound.
CD quality sound.
Yeah, but it is, man. You can get it on the Extra 106.3 app. Never a crack, never any static. It's just right there on your phone, and you can listen no matter where you are.
And there's a possibility you might get a text message out of nowhere from Tug, and he's giving you $5.
It could happen.
A possibility.
It's a possibility.
Remote.
High fidelity, but not highfalutin.
That's right.
That's right. And that's why.
Put that on a T-shirt.
That belongs on a T-shirt. Yes,
high fidelity, but not highfalutin.
That's right. That's us, for sure. But download the app so you can listen live and on demand.
I live in the country.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I don't. I grew up in the country, but I don't live in the country right now. And there's part of me that is so envious of Los that he's moving north, further north. Because my brother-in-law is always talking about buying land. He and I grew up together in Dalton, and we married sisters, strangely enough. And he's always talking about, man, I just want to get me a bunch of acreage up in the mountains somewhere and be away from everything.
Start that harem?
Yes, absolutely. Forget it. Yes, if we can talk everybody into it, yes.
That sounds like a headache, man.
It does. It sounds like more trouble is worth. But You know, and then the guy who was in my wedding, my buddy Sonny, went to high school together, lives over in Woodstock. He's the same way. He's like, man, I want to buy me 100 acres in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, up in the mountains, and I will be happy and lone, and ain't nobody going to bother me. Everything will be perfect. So everybody around me is having the same conversation. Move north, move further north, get away from the city, get away from people even. If you feel that way, 404-741-1230, and tell us where you're buying, tell us where you're looking. That way we can look with you.
Actually, surprisingly, at 404-741-1230, they won't call to tell us because they want to keep it a secret.
Yeah, you know what? That's more likely.
I had
now that you say that.
I remember one of the first times, and this is back like in 2016.
Shh, don't tell nobody.
I'm like in Mexico Beach, Florida, just right there along with Port St. Joe, and this older couple. We're sitting in this one bar, and we have a couple friends of ours that were with us in town. And the old man kind of gives a friend of mine a look and kind of waves him over. I was like, okay, what's this all about? And he's like, where are you from? He's like, oh, Atlanta. He's like, you just down here vacationing? He's like, yes, sir, just having a good time with a couple of our friends. He goes, well, make sure you tell him you went to Panama City Beach.
And tell him how great it was. Dude.
We were dying laughing over that one.
That's so funny. Bill Murray said the same thing.
Yeah.
Bill Murray about Charleston, because so many people are moving to Charleston. I was reading this article that Bill Murray did an interview, and he was talking about how great Charleston was and how he loves it. And, he's partial owner of the minor league franchise, the River Dogs.
Yeah.
Which I think is the minor league of the Rays, Tampa Bay. And he's got restaurants. He's got all kinds of – there's lots of connections to Charleston. He was like, but if you ever tell anybody about Charleston, make sure you tell them how awful it is. That way they won't move here anymore.
It's a great community.
But it's the same concept that you're saying that people are like, don't tell.
Well, I mean, if you want to have that beach lifestyle, if you want to own that boat, you want to get all the great restaurants and a ton of golf, like Charleston. In the same way that if you're into comedy, you go to Austin.
Yeah.
And then there's always that kind of buzz community where you have that stuff going on.
Yeah, but the vacancy line is off, and I got to tell you maybe even the entire Southeast, people are starting to go. Let's slow down. Let's slow down.
Saying, once you hit exit 14, just turn around, go back.
That's right.
Off of 400, turn around,
tail.
go back.
Turn tail,
go back, go south.
Go other direction. That's exactly right. God, I love it. We're talking about. The way that Scott Jennings, just with common sense, dismantles the usually liberal panel that they're on. And he does it with just frequency. He does it with precision. He's the crown jewel of CNN, and they know that. Los brought up the fact that they gave him that big contract recently. They know he's the only thing that keeps them afloat. But I will give credit to Abby Phillips. Now, It probably is only partial credit because it's so obvious and so clear. They happen to be talking about the border. And what was the one thing that Donald Trump guaranteed you he was going to do day one?
We're going to close this thing down.
And he did. Somebody brought it up. Even Abby Phillips on her show on CNN was like, you can't say that because it ain't true.
As I pointed out to Jim, Trump has succeeded. He has shut the border down. There are no border crossings virtually happening.
Do you know how many Democrats were so pissed off at her right in that moment? You can't say that. You cannot give him credit for that. You can't say something good about the dictator.
You're better off if you're on that end of the spectrum of just being able to point that sort of stuff out. Now, you can't say it running for office. You have to claim, well, I mean, we were already taking care of that. I mean, what did Joe Biden try to say on The View? He tried to say that, we were trying to get more policy pushed through, and that's what have allowed us to do it. You didn't even need policy. You didn't need laws. In fact, the laws that they were promoting would have allowed it at the discretion of the president to decide how many were coming through and at what point, if he wanted to then shut the border down. And it would have had to been an insane amount of people. But even if we had hit that number, it was still at the president's discretion by law. So Donald Trump basically did what he said he was going to do, and at least some people have recognized it on that side.
But Abby Phillips is not a Trump fan by any means, and even she can't lie about it. Because anybody that's fair, that looks at 10,000 people a day, I think Tom Holman most recently said we had 9 people.
Yeah.
So 10,000 versus 9. Even Abby Phillips, even the leftist media, can't look at that and go, yep, Donald Trump's a failure. No, he's not. And it's the one thing that he the number one thing, what did he campaign on? I'm going to shut down the border. Has he done everything that he said he was going to do? He's made a lot of promises, and he's and delivered on so many of them. He said you're going to get tired of winning. Poor Abby Phillips had to say, yep, he's winning.
You know what Joe Biden did? Because he did drive down some costs. The cost come across the border went way down under Joe Biden. Like now, if you need to find a coyote to get you across the border, okay, now it's expensive once again.
They're actually paying people to help them get home.
Yeah.
I've read about that where they're paying people, and it's about half as much as it was to get over here when the border was open. But they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next avenue to make money?
Where before it was just, well, just walk across, claim asylum, do what you're going to do. But yeah, no, I appreciate that Abby Phillips was able to point this out and just say, listen, he told you he was going to do it. That part he did. Now, and this is where I think it's short-sighted oftentimes by at least our politicians and some people within the media. If you can point out a truth, it makes the rest of what you say worth listening to.
Well, at least it gives it credibility. Some.
Because when I watch The View, and that doesn't happen very often because, I don't know, I have too much testosterone, and I'm not a lady man. I'm not one of the here, I vote Democrat. I'm a lady man. But when you do see the highlights, it's often from an area of, wait, you don't have an understanding of what the issue is, or you're being purposely negligent in it. It's like if you just start off by talking some bit of truth, then at least you can build a discussion from there.
But the difference, I believe, is they would use that as the...
You're on Donald Trump's team, aren't you? You're on Trump's team.
They would absolutely paint you as you're on Trump's team. But the other thing is, they would use that in a manner to manipulate you. We're going to tell you this kernel. It's almost like the National Enquirer, where they have just a kernel of truth in there, and then they build the story around it, even though none of it's true.
Something crashed into the planet. Now it's an alien ship.
That's exactly. But yeah, exactly. It was a meteor, but it turned into, yes, something crashed. There's the kernel of truth. It's actually an alien invasion.
Now, Tucker Carlson is too big now on the internet and having his own network and what he's doing. It's not going to work. But you find me somebody like that to put on MSNBC or CNN, and you watch the ratings go wild. Because these people, they have such strong, and you'll get the spike out of it for about the next 3 years. Their TDS is so strong, they just want to be mad because it gives them an outlet.
I can't live like that.
Put somebody on that makes them mad every day.
Which is what Scott Jennings does.
Yeah.
But they need him on every show.
But put them
someone like him.
Put them on, I'm telling you, MSNBC, 8 o'clock. You find yourself a Bill O'Reilly type, and you just let them go. Just wind them up and let them go spend the money. Why don't you put Jesse Kelly on?
Figure out what you're going to do and take him off the first and pay him large to go.
Pay him a crazy amount to go on MSNBC and just blowtorch the whole thing. And you watch how the ratings will go skyrocketing.
You got 3 years. You would have 3 years to figure out what you're going to do afterwards.
Yeah.
And you would make money hand over fist. But their TDS would never allow it because the people that program it would hate him just as much. They would treat him. Can you imagine they saw him in the hallway and he was like, hey, good morning. And they would just cuss at him because they're so angry.
The only goal of any of this, TV, radio, like part of the reason why you listen to this program is because there are moments where you go, I really like what that person said. Or there might be moments where you're like, I don't like what he had to say right there. Either way, there's an emotional investment. The worst thing you can be in this industry is forgotten. And what's happening right now is they have a lot of people that say a bunch of things that are immediately forgotten.
Dude, give me
affect them emotionally.
Right. Give me the lineup of MSNBC. I have no idea who's on that station. Like I can't even give you the lineup of Fox News.
You get Al Sharpton at some point.
At some point, right? And I know.
Boy, that's a rough looking 72, by the way.
Boy, is
going to say for now.
Yeah, he does not look good,
buddy. He does not. And then the craziness that he says. But I have no idea what the lineup of CNN is. I have no clue. I don't even know when Scott Jennings is on. I know he's on because I see.
I get the YouTube clips and everything every night.
That's posted almost immediately because they're smart enough to say, hey, we're going to use this for brand awareness. We're going to give people something that has the CNN logo and Scott Jennings just dismantling people. When he's on, have no clue. Do you know? 404-741-1230.
I'm just
because I don't.
Okay, so once they axe Joy Reid, which was a tragedy.
It was terrible.
And then Jen Psaki moved into the primetime slot. There's a Simone Sanders Townsend, and she has 3 names, which automatically.
Anytime there's the hyphen in there, I'm out.
Michael Steele, who is their Republican representative.
Republican. Dude, he makes the establishment Republicans, he makes them look like conservatives. Michael Steele does.
Yes, he sure does. Yeah, I'm kind of glancing through the lineup going, all right, well, where's the win here?
There isn't one.
Tell you what they need is they need one person who's the dad.
Yeah, well, let's let that
have at it with
I
him.
just don't know. Dana Bash is over there.
Oh yeah, Dana Bash.
Don't forget her because she's one that will throw out just craziness. And when I listen to it, it just sounds like nonsense. Always, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Is it Dana or is it Dana? I don't have any idea. Just like the lineup, I don't know those.
So you had Howard Lutnick that showed up on CNN. And this is over the weekend. This is the State of the Union. This is where we get a chance to talk about this. Now, Dana Bash, I had to look into it. So she has a degree in political communications. So there is not a backing where I'm just saying if you're going to have on somebody who is a commerce secretary, like this is what they do for a living, this is what they're involved in, you think that you would try and speak to them from a business perspective, right? Let's talk about the markets. Let's talk about what's going on with the economy. Let's dive into this. Dana Bash is not equipped for this. So all she has is talking points. And when you go to talking points, the discussion is over. Take a listen to how she tried to play this with Lutnick, and he hits this. Like, this is like the ball going up near the rim, and Dikembe Mutombo slaps it into the third row, and then he gives you the finger wag and not today. That's what he's about to do right here. Take a listen.
We have 25% tariffs that were set under President Trump's first term. I don't hear a single word, not a single word about those tariffs. No consumers in America, those were set in 2017 and 2018. No consumers in America sit here complaining about those tariffs.
Well, prices
what happens
have,
is
prices have gone up for lots of reasons.
Currencies. Oh, no. Don't talk about the Biden inflation. That's another whole gig. When we left, when President Trump in 2019 had the lowest inflation in history. So let me ask. You know that this works really, really well. It works well. These countries and the businesses have to compete. Yep. They have to cut prices. You've seen it.
So she tries to go down the road of Trump tariffs and rising prices. As Lutnick points out, we had tariffs on previously. And yet,
and Biden did not change them.
We didn't have. It's like your price hikes are strictly tied to Joe Biden, and she's like, "But
you could hear her try to chime in about
that." I'm not saying everyone has to be some sort of expert in the field, but if I'm going to have somebody come on and talk about artwork, I'm probably going to spend the night before trying to learn as much as I can about artwork, so there's a conversation there.
At least spend some time. At least familiarize yourself a little bit.
Or I'm going to ask questions and allow them to be the expert.
Hey, here's the thing I don't know.
I don't understand this. How would you explain this to a layman like me?
Yep.
Dana Bash took it upon herself to do the talking points. Well, the tariffs did this, and he's like, okay, you want to go down that road, sweetie? Come here, baby girl. You ain't gonna like how this is gonna work.
That's exactly right.
He even gave her the no.
I'm telling you, he gave her the no. That was pure Dikembe right there.
Exactly right.
But I thought it was very funny that you had somebody who decided, I'm going to challenge a commerce secretary on commerce, and yet never be able to point out that we had tiny inflation under Donald Trump. We didn't have rising prices under Donald Trump. All this came out of the COVID era, and then the printing of money, and then some of the craziness that was day one of Joe Biden.
But Dana wants to make sure that she keeps her DNC polished, shield that she wears on her chest.
How else is she going to get to be part of debates?
Ever. She's never going to, unless she, she does exactly what the Democrats want her to do, and that is challenge anything that Donald Trump says or anyone that represents Donald Trump on her network. How else is she going to maintain her status in the DNC, or at least in the view of the DNC, the way that they see her, the way that they embrace her?
And she jumped in the lion's cage on that one.
Bad.
She had a stake around her neck.
But you know who loves it? That 20%. They're like, see,
you get him, Dana.
Stood up.
You get him.
That's exactly the way it works, man. They are so lost in the forest. They have no idea which way is up.
As they pet their ugly cat.
Yeah, the one with no fur. That was with that Mr. Bigglesworth style cat.
You got her. You got him good.
Yeah, that's right. Did you hear him saying all that?
And then the lady men over there that are like, yeah.
You get him, Dana.
Yeah.
We don't know how to say your name either. When we continue. By the way, the 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770. Get heatcentralheat.com. Boy, this sounds appealing. Letitia James in handcuffs. Let the crackdown begin next on Extra 106.3.
Your favorite Extra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Extra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Extra YouTube channel and get the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Oh boy, if you have any sort of leak in the roof, this is going to be a challenging week for you. Water inside your home, the worst thing that could possibly happen. The damage that water causes is unbelievable. Not only what it does as it's, settling in, but then as the mold grows, as the mildew grows, and the cleanup that's involved, like if it's in your basement, the cleanup that is involved, or if it gets inside the walls, the cleanup, the expense, unbelievable. The damage and the expense to fix it's terrible. You don't have to live that way. You don't have to live in that fear. You can't be paralyzed by it either. When you see that little brown spot on the ceiling, in the sheetrock, you have to get it squared away. Who do you call? That'd be Southern Exteriors. They're not going through neighborhoods, knocking on doors saying, hey, have you got a leak in your roof or your shingles all sideways and broken? They don't do that. They don't have to. They've done 200,000 jobs in their existence since 1999. They are the experts when it comes to repairing your roof. And maybe it needs replacing. Maybe it completely needs to be replaced. They'll give you a great deal on that. Or they can just fix the part that needs replacing if it's just one small area of the roof. But either way it goes, with this rain this week, now is the time to act. They have the crew and the ability. They have the numbers to get people out to your house and many others at the same time. They have the ability to get it all done for Metro Atlanta, you included. And right now, they'll give you 12 months, 0% financing on a job or 10% off any job. Whatever you choose, whatever fits your budget best, whatever works best for you. 877-9-SOUTHERN, southernexteriors.co.
So, the doc says I have ED. ED. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just an abbreviation for a condition so many men have. If I was to be honest, I probably also have a little OCD. I know I have a great HMO. Heck, I even have 3 weeks of PTO. Look, don't let a few letters get you down. If you have ED, there's HELP. Go see Dr. Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He's an ED specialist that will turn your life around PDQ. ED happens to a lot of men as we age. And just FYI, Dr. Deal can give you back the confidence you need to perform on the JOB. So, ready to take the first step? Quit yelling WTF at your little BFF and visit tbtofga.com. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can fix your ED ASAP. And before you know it, you'll be screaming OMG.
I'm getting in the game. The world won't be the same. I'm good to go.
Call 404-777-1911 or visit tbtofga.com.
There are nut jobs on the road. Who knows where they learn to drive? If one of them hits you, don't take care of it on your own. Call my friend David Van Sant, 855-GA-INJURY. Van Sant Law, one of Georgia's top-rated personal injury lawyers and car accident firms. Time is of the essence. Don't waste any. The longer you wait to get the right lawyer, the longer it takes to get the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law today. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, May 12th. Hundreds of flights were delayed at Hartsfield-Jackson on Sunday. A ground stop was issued around noon due to runway equipment issues. Some delays are lingering into today. The FAA says another ground stop is possible. Check your flight status before heading to the airport. Cleanup is continuing after a train derailment in Smyrna on Friday. CSX said there were no injuries and no hazardous waste was released into the area. Investigation into the cause is still ongoing. And the U.S. and China have agreed to roll back most tariffs for 90 days as negotiations on a trade deal continue. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will come down to 30% from 145%, and the Chinese will lower their rates on American goods to 10%. Today's weather: rain and isolated storms continue throughout the metro area and look to be here until Wednesday. Temperatures will be relatively low in the 70s, but we're warming back up into the 80s by the end of the week. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. I told you earlier that I think AOC is on to something. She needs to tell the Democrats to continue storming detention facilities because this is going to be such a bad look for the American people. When they see the results of what happened and AOC saying, yes, that's exactly what we need to do, more of that. And then you see the representative in the red coat as she attacks the ICE agents, because they had the narrative that they were running with, that these people were just trying to be revolutionary or sort of like that. Maybe that's not the right word. They're trying to be people that are releasing the slaves during the Civil War. That's what they painted it as. They're trying to let people out of Auschwitz. That's what they actually compared it to on the weekend news. It wasn't like that at all. You saw the video, you see the attack on the ICE officers, and then all of a sudden the narrative falls apart. Thank you, Elon Musk, for buying Twitter.
Thank you, body cam footage.
Absolutely, thank you, body cam footage. We're seeing something very similar with Letitia James in the fact that she went after Donald Trump with bogus charges, trumped up charges, pun intended.
Just to rehash it. She said that he overinflated his value on Mar-a-Lago in order to secure loans, the loans that were paid back.
And the bank said,
with interest.
Bank said, we got our money. Everything was on the up and up. There's no problem here.
Right. So
they had to search for a crime.
So that what they try to do is create some form of mortgage fraud based on him overvaluing a property. Then when they said that Mar-a-Lago was worth $18 million. Yeah, it's not $18 million in that part of Florida.
And it won't ever be $18 million. But Letitia James is now, because after she went after Trump, the mortgage fraud thing, now she's facing potentially 30 years in jail for actual mortgage fraud. Don't you love when karma comes back around? Because everybody, even them on the other side, they were like, man, I just don't see these charges on Trump. You could never explain the charges. You never knew what was happening. No one could ever make it make sense. The banks couldn't make it make sense. The only people that tried to make it make sense and still prosecuted it was Alvin Bragg and Letitia James.
If you want to say that you overvalued property in order to secure a loan, okay, that happens all the time. Everyone's going to say, here's what mine is worth. And it's the bank's job to do an evaluation, in which case they make an offer. Now, I'll tell you, when it comes to real estate, like I've worked with a lot of different companies, you might think your house is worth X, all right? They're not going to take your word for it.
No, they're going to do
They're going to do their own analysis and investigation, and they'll probably come in underneath you, but they're going to do their own. That's their due diligence.
Because they want to know that the money they're lending out is going to get paid back, and they're going to make a rate on top of that. They're going to make money on top of that. It's the whole point of them being in business.
Now, it's different if you happen to secure a loan and say, I'm securing a loan to go along with my spouse. We're using our two incomes to do this.
Right.
It turns out they're not your spouse. It's your dad.
It's your dad. And it's weird, and it's in a state that you don't live in, although you said you did.
Or I secure a loan based on residency within that state and saying it's my primary, because that is taxed differently, and also the loan is different. And
actual crime.
And so that's an actual crime. That is tax fraud and mortgage fraud.
The shoe is dropping. Listen to this.
Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. James denies the allegations and says she's being targeted by the Trump administration. For more on this, let's bring in Fox News Sunday anchor and chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream. So what's this case about, and does the Justice Department have a case?
So there are allegations that she did not give proper information on loan documents, possible mortgage documents about primary residence, things that would have given her a better loan system to work with, more favorable terms. She and her attorney are completely denying it. They say this is complete revenge. And listen, presumed innocent. That's a great thing about our system. And an investigation is one thing. Do you get to charges? Do you get to a trial? I don't know, but Democrats have been telling us for years, as they did when she brought charges against President Trump, no one's above the law. You got to work through the process in the system, and we'll see how far it goes with her.
So essentially, she's being charged with something very similar to what she charged Donald Trump for.
No. That, again, pretty plugged into real estate here. They are not similar charges. You are talking about the securing of loans based on the evaluation of a property, in which case she came back and said, here's what it's worth. This, and by the way, and that loan was then all paid back. And again, the banks, doing their due diligence, agreed with Donald Trump based on what he was saying the property was worth. Letitia James completely made up a number out of her own head in order to create charges. That's different than signing paperwork saying this is my primary residence.
And lying about it. And still to this moment, benefiting from the tax code.
And I'll give you an example as somebody who's done this quite a bit. So the loan on my primary residence, by the time we had refied it, and again, it was a great time, and you always hear Clay Travis talk about, 2%. We were like 2.75. The best we could do on a secondary property, rental property, a place that was not our primary residence, was 5.75. Now, for those of you who've been hunting mortgages out there, you know there's a big difference in 3% total. And Letitia James was securing properties based on calling them primaries, which were getting her rates that were probably closer, depending on the year, closer to 3% than would have been 6 or 7%.
But what I want to see is the pound of flesh, because I'm tired.
I want to see the orange jumpsuit, baby.
Absolutely. I'm so tired of people being able to break the law and get away with it. Donald Trump, they trumped up charges. They made up charges to get that mug shot here in Atlanta. They did everything they could in New York. They did in Mar-a-Lago, down in Florida. And they've been able to skate. That's why when it comes to the AOC stuff that I brought up earlier, I want to see them arrested, because if you don't set the precedent, it will happen again. Letitia James deserves to be in handcuffs and an orange jumpsuit for doing what she did. It was politically motivated. That is what we're trying to eliminate. And if you do not eliminate it, it will happen again, over and over and over again, until it is prosecuted and punished appropriately.
You know how they used to refer to the 2020 election and what our thoughts on it is? Oh, it's the big lie.
Right.
It's
that was
the big lie.
was the banner.
Let me tell you what the big lie has been. The big lie is that the rules apply to all of us. No one's above the law.
No one's above the law. I wrote that down.
There are two different areas. There's the establishment, and then there's everyone else. And I don't care if that's an establishment Republican or Democrat.
Me either. They should be prosecuted.
But that's the whole game. As long as it stayed within the establishment, everybody you have to step pretty far out of line for them to burn one of their own. Like, I still can't believe that they sent Rod Blagojevich to prison because he was basically trying to sell Obama's Senate seat when he became president. Blagojevich was like, I'm going to sell this thing. And that's who he was convicted of, and that's where he went for prison for. Typically, that's just politics as usual. And it goes on in both sides. What you're seeing is what happens when a bunch of system disruptors get involved. And now it really is the establishment versus the rest of us. Donald Trump can be a billionaire. He ain't the establishment.
No, definitely not.
Elon Musk is a billionaire. He ain't the establishment.
Which is the whole point we bring up all the time. They're not trying to get your Social Security because that's been another banner headline.
They got other ways to get a hold of your money.
Absolutely,
not,
they do.
Not our end. The other ways that they've been getting a hold of your money for years.
With USAID and so many other different things. But that's the thing. If we don't punish it, it's going to continue. This is one of those, it's almost like a moment in time that if we don't do the right thing here, you're going to look back 10 years from now, 20 years from now and be like, oh, we're repeating this. This is happening again. And you've brought it up, the pound of flesh with Fauci. We're never going to see it. It's never going to happen. You better start in the places where you can get a pound of flesh. You better nail it down while you have the chance. If you don't, you're bound to repeat it.
This is a moment in history, and these only come around maybe once every 100 years or so. Where
you could even say the same thing, and I'm not trying to derail you, but you could say the same thing about the whole thing, the whole play with China and the deal that's going on right now. We'll never have that chance again either.
But we don't have, this is no longer, the party of the Bushes. And it's not the party of the Obamas or the Bidens or the Clintons. Now this is strictly a bunch of outsiders. And this is where you'll see the fight. And you've already seen a bunch of gut punches that this group has put on the establishment. USAID, that ended up, the more we find out, it was the politicians' way of making sure to filter money to their family members and their spouses so they could get rich based off of your dollars. It was almost like if you can just win and get into politics, then you can filter money towards your people. That was the goal. That's what it was. It was here's how you end up leaving here on $170,000 and you're worth $10 million. That's how it was done. So we've taken the kneecaps out there, and we continue to do that. But as Doge is finding, there are wild ways in which this place enriched itself. For instance, we talk about the billions of dollars that the Biden administration handed out on their way out to make sure that they took care of their friends and family and constituents.
You're exactly right. And when Kamala Harris lost the election, those NGOs got $1.3 billion, almost $100 billion before Donald Trump took office to that point. They knew that the walls were closing in, so they had to. They had to start. And they even said it out loud. Remember? Joe Biden said, we're going to filter as much money to NGOs as we possibly can.
$1.3 billion per day.
We didn't know at the time how corrupt the NGOs were. We had an idea. I think we were starting to see a little bit of the light. I felt funny about.
The public didn't know.
Most of the public did. You're right.
The insiders are like, here's where it starts.
Absolutely right. They all knew. That level of money, just because they knew that the window of opportunity was closing, $1.3 billion a day. That's the kind of corruption. That's the stuff that we have to punish. That's the stuff that we can't let go.
No. And again, we're in a very interesting time in history where oftentimes that sort of stuff would just be taken as, well, that's just what you do. Yeah, we're on our way out. Let's go ahead and get our people paid off.
That's right.
And you know what? This is how we'll get right back into office, and they'll make sure we get back into office. And the other side's doing it too. This is the first time where you can look at something, and this is why it's pointed as Hitler 2.0, or they're so totalitarian, or they're so corrupt. It's because they have been incorruptible.
That's right.
They're actually giving you your money back. They're actually saving the taxpayer.
And that is frowned upon in the establishment because they're like, well, wait, whoa. Well, if you set this precedent, people are going to expect this. We don't want this to happen. We don't want people to know where their money's going. We want to keep it secret.
These rubes aren't supposed to be able to hold on to their money.
That's exactly right. And these rubes are not supposed to know what we're doing with it when they turn it over to us. They're not supposed to know where their tax dollars go. And if they do, they would never vote for us again. Yep, you're exactly right.
That's kind of the plan. That's how we all know it's out in the open.
That's the beauty of the disruption.
Sunlight's a great disinfectant.
Isn't it, though? It was for COVID, too.
Sure. It works every time. But now you get these people out there and you get to see what they're doing. And you get to see the amount of money that's involved. And so whether it's Letitia James or the NGOs.
Or the commies.
It's all ripe for the picking. And you just start, what I would hope to, and maybe this would be on the beast, the presidential limo, that maybe we can just have like a hammer and sickle, and on the last door that they always open up for President Trump to walk in there, we can just have one for each one of the communists that we've put into prison. And so, like, hey, look.
Almost like a tick mark.
Mayor of New York.
It's like college football helmets.
That's right.
Yeah,
it's like helmet
stickers.
Like I'm thinking like the Red Baron. Like I want to have like as many of them as possible, and they're just all lined up on the door for as many people that were corrupt that we've been able to put into prison. Like Letitia James, I don't think you'll get 30 years, but if you got 3, that'd be real funny to me.
Dude, I don't care if it's 6 months. Just to be able to see the pictures and say, you can't do it.
I mean, I signed the same paperwork like 3 weeks ago. They're very adamant that this is punishable. You signed paperwork telling you that this is punishable.
There's a reason there's a lawyer in the room.
Yes.
It's not just you and the loan officer. There's a lawyer.
Yeah, there's a lawyer there who is executing the business of not just the state in this case, but they're also taking care of the bank as well, and they're the one documenting it, and then they're the one putting their stamp on everything that they went ahead and viewed all the stuff that you did.
Lock them all up. Lock every one of them up, or at least as many as you can. The new records that are being set in girls' sports. Problem is, they're not being set by girls. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Monday, May 12th. The Atlanta Braves dropped 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh over the weekend, including a 4-3 walk-off loss yesterday afternoon. The Braves now move on to D.C. for a 4-game series against the Washington Nationals beginning tonight. That'll be Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Jake Irwin. First pitch is set for 7:15. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics look to even up their series with the New York Knicks at 2 games apiece tonight in New York. That game is the early tip-off at 7:30. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors play Game 4 of their series with the T-Wolves leading 2-1. That's going to be the 10 o'clock tip-off this evening. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with the doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggy. She's a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy, atlantasmiles.com.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
To tell you about a new company that is changing the way people buy their next pre-owned car or truck. At The Honest Car Guy, they offer a completely transparent way to purchase a vehicle. You pay what he pays, plus a small, honest fee. You can choose any make or model. He will search the country for the best deal out there. He'll handle the paperwork, your trade-in, shipping, and even give you the bill of sale. Friends, I've done the research, and this is a buying process that you can trust. Call 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit online at honestcarguy.com.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax-free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
Summer is here, and it's time to enjoy your outdoor oasis as a family. Don't know where to begin? At Stovall & Company, we have everything you need to make your landscaping dreams come true. From premium mulch and topsoil to a wide variety of plants, trees, shrubs, and annuals, Stovall has it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com.
Application developer positions offered by uwork.com DBA Covendus Technologies in Atlanta, Georgia. Develop, improve, and support the general upkeep of the system, including working on key projects for UI development and functionality improvement, support back-end implementation, and system changes for clients. May work remotely from a commutable distance from the office. If interested, submit resume to barbie.taylor@covendus.com.
Hey, it's Flounder, and the Kimmer Show is live every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m.
I made the mistake Easter of buying a little box of Jordan almonds, and I love Jordan almonds. I used to get them at the movie theater, for Tara and whatever.
Yeah, you know,
no one can hear the movie because you're crunching these Jordan almonds,
and getting them out of the bag and everything.
Cannot stop.
What the hell? You're pleasing yourself, right?
Personal question.
Well, no. I just
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra. Download the app so you can listen live and on demand. Well, we were talking about it earlier. We weren't sure when Scott Jennings was on and just blowing up the narrative on a nightly basis on CNN. But Flounder hit us back and told us that it was 10 p.m. That's when Scott Jennings is on.
That's when that round table starts.
There you go. It seems like they would want the guy that's moving the needle that actually is making them relevant, like at 8. But I'm, that's just me thinking out loud, I guess.
They don't want to give Democrats nightmares.
Exactly, before they go to bed. Right. I guess so. Get them in bed early.
So mad, I'm going to stay up.
I know, right? Absolutely.
Hear what he said to me.
I can't believe it. Stupid common sense. I hate it. Every bit of it. There's been a bunch of new records set in girls' sports. And unfortunately, Los, none of them were girls that were setting the records. I feel like I see a trend here that nobody wants to acknowledge.
All right, I'm going to build this into more of a story than we've ever done in the past because, again, we talk about an 80-20 issue that men should not be participating in women's sports. And then we'll get like the Kate Fagans of the world on ESPN where she's like, it's inclusionary and so everybody's happy. Like, it's also dangerous and it's not fair. But, I mean, let's put it this way. Kate interested in women's stuff to start with, so I can get why that's her point. Let me tell you about this one particular girl. It's not a girl. But let me just give you the finishes here. And this is for this particular athlete. This has been going on this entire year right into this spring. If you were to look at the high jump finishes from February until May, first. How about long jump finishes? First. Guarantee I can do it like 12 times. Triple jump finishes. First. If you were to go to, let's say, the Ontario Relay, where you will find that this particular person, when it came to the long jump, jumped 17 feet. The next closest girl jumped 15:10. All right, you're beating competition by nearly 2 feet. What if we were to say in the varsity high jump? Second place ended up going 4'2". This one went 5'4". All right. So this is a girl in California that is clearly destroying competition because it's a biological male. All right. Now, this audio, because it took a while for it to get out, like this is from the last meet. So this is like 10 days old. But I want you to listen to what it happens. And this is what's supposed to happen when parents decide that they have had it with this stuff, because this isn't just somebody who, well, they're a biological male, they're female, and they want to compete as a girl. And you know what? They're mediocre at this sort of, they're destroying the competition. Again, I'm looking at this Tug. What does it say right here on every single part of the left side? First.
I don't see any number except one.
There's nothing but first place. That's the only. There's just one time when they did not finish. One time. Outside of that, there was a disqualification, one of them, but it's first place every time. All right, this is not.
And it never works in the reverse this way. Everybody knows, but it seems to be obviously needs to be stated.
So take a listen to this dad in the stands. This is what I would hope that eventually more people will do and understand. In an 80-20 issue, you might feel at the time of what you're saying, know that there are other parents around you that are going, hell yeah, that guy's right.
All right, here we go. That's a boy! That's a boy! That's a man! Who said that?
So yeah, somebody starts like barking back out, and it's like, no, that's a man.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a boy.
so obvious.
Now, here's where it starts to hit home, Tug, because this person has an NCSA college recruiting profile. They are looking to play in college.
Yeah, sure.
This is where you start talking about taking opportunities away
from girls.
From actual girls. Not only that, this particular athlete also has another profile on Mex Prep. You know what else they play? Volleyball. Their top school interests: Nebraska, Texas, Cal State, Long Beach, Oregon, Hawaii. All right. This is when we talk about taking opportunities away from women, and this is BS.
And it's hitting home for you because your girls play.
Because I'm sitting back going like, wow, that's not fair in track. Oh, it turns out that this boy is looking to do this across a multitude of sports. And you don't fill out an NCSA college recruiting profile unless you're looking to take advantages or taking opportunities away from women.
Without a doubt. And at some point, it's going to pop up in Metro Atlanta if it hasn't already. It's not like the story's not big enough, even if it has, and I've not heard about it. But at some point, it will. And this will be a fight right here. It won't be in California. It won't be in Minnesota. It won't be in Washington State. Because there's a girl I saw this weekend, 6 foot tall, playing softball in Minnesota. The girls that this person pitches to only hit 12% of the pitches that are thrown.
Dominates them.
6 foot tall, Marissa Rothenberger. Marissa is not a female.
No.
But she is dominating. He is dominating the softball of the high school kids. Because you're right, it will take college, just like you're saying, trying to get a college scholarship. But it's taking the experiences of high school. We just had this discussion. I didn't even know this is where this conversation was going, about how important high school sports are. I remember when Jake was playing travel ball, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And then when we got to high school, his high school experience so far overshadows everything that happened in travel ball. Like winning a championship in travel ball, great. Winning a state championship at the high school level lives forever. It never goes away. It'll be in the record books forever. So that person, A.B. Hernandez, is taking those opportunities at the high school level away.
And so when you go to, let's say, for instance, let's go to like the high jump. And this is the championship. Here's where we're going to show off, how good we are at this level. And at state, he won by a full foot in the high jump. The top girls, the top young women were going 4.4. He went 5.4. All right. Now, the difference in being first place and second place when it came to the girls is 4.4 versus 4.2. A girl was 2 inches more than the next
second
girl.
and third place, you said?
That was ended up being, well, had we ignored the man.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's 2 inches. All right. He went a full foot.
And there's going to be people that look at that and be like, yeah, that's no problem here. What's the problem?
That's the joke of it. That is the giant lie that when they're telling you like, well, what's the big deal? It doesn't really happen all that often. It shouldn't happen ever.
It shouldn't happen ever. And it's not a big deal because it's easy to sit back and say, well, it's not happening at my school.
How about
until it does?
How about the triple jump at their state finals in California? Second place went 33.5. All right, that's a triple jump, 33.5. Third place was 32.1. Fourth place was 33. All right, remember, second place was 33.5. The boy went 40.2, beat by almost 7 feet.
I just don't know. I don't know why we're having to have this conversation. It's so clear. And it never, as I started the segment, it never goes the other way. find me the girl that identifies as a boy and goes and competes in boys sports. It never happens because there's differences.
Oh, and by the way, this boy is a junior. The rest of them are seniors.
Of course.
So you're sitting back, finishing second at state to a boy who beat you by 7 feet.
It just baffles me that this always seems to happen and is confirmed by the people on the other side that have always come up for women's rights.
Yeah, right. Where is your care for women's rights now? It's amazing how quiet the feminists have been on this.
Long jump. 15-10 for the second place finisher. Third place, 15-1. So that's like actually okay. It's pretty interesting what you had going on there. The winner went 19.5, went almost 4 feet more in the varsity women's long jump. All the other tops were basically 15 feet.
It just doesn't add up. The addition
19.
never, ever, ever works.
So
you have to really suspend your common sense to be able to say that that's okay.
And so that's where, like, I know we can all say it's an 80-20 issue, but because I did all the numbers on this, and I just wanted to highlight this wasn't just like a little bit.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. And you finally had a parent in the stands. They were like, that's a boy. That's a man. Like,
I expect that to become more common.
And they have college recruiting profiles that they've created because they're looking to take more opportunities away from young women.
Where are the protectors of women? Because it used to be the left. The left were so loud about their, we're the feminists, we're taking care of women, we look out for women, Republicans hate women. Remember they told us that so many times? That couldn't be further from the truth. And this is just one example of it. There's a million more. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. When actual asylum is needed, the Dems say no. Next.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Are you a bit curious about artificial intelligence? I am, so I've been reading some books. Finally hit on something that was rather alarming, but let me build up to that. Artificial intelligence in search engines. You've probably experienced this. If you search for gourmet food, the next time you go online and search for some clothing, maybe a golf shirt, some slacks, you are going to be directed to expensive clothing. It won't have a George label on it like much of my clothing. That's a certainty. Now let's step artificial intelligence up a bit to playing chess. It was many years ago that a computer first beat Garry Kasparov, the reigning world champion. But lately, things a little more scary. There's an artificial intelligence program out there that is so good at chess, it uses moves that have never, ever been considered by any reigning world champion. Moves totally off the wall. Strategies nobody has ever thought of before, including, for instance, sacrificing your own queen in order to get a strategic advantage that'll allow you to win the game. Okay, you sacrifice the most powerful piece on the board to get an eventual win. Now, let's take it to artificial intelligence in warfare. What if you feed all of the available information about your forces, the enemy, everybody into a computer, and it says, in order to win this battle, you have to sacrifice this element of yours over there. In other words, you have to let the enemy kill a bunch of your own men. I don't think that's going to happen. And the result may be you're going to lose. Will we have military commanders in the future that would follow that path dictated by artificial intelligence? Something to think about. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
If you're thinking about a new Buick or GMC, don't wait. Now's the time. Head to Jim Ellis Buick GMC, where the price is right now.
Lock in your lowest price today before prices start to rise due to new tariffs. Shop early while inventory is strong. Right now, Jim Ellis Buick GMC has more than 400 vehicles in stock.
Whether it's the luxurious Buick Enclave or Envision, a spacious GMC Acadia or Yukon, or the power and the capability of the Sierra and Canyon trucks.
And if you're shopping pre-owned, you'll find a great selection of certified vehicles too. Thoroughly inspected and ready to roll at Jim Ellis Buick GMC. Find exactly what you want. But don't wait too long. Get yours today before prices go up and vehicle selection goes down. No pressure, no games, just a transparent, customer-first experience that makes buying easy.
Start your search now before prices change at JimEllisBuickGMC.com or visit Jim Ellis Buick GMC in Chamblee off Peachtree Boulevard, inside the perimeter, or in Beaufort off Highway 20 near 985. Jim Ellis Buick GMC, we are professional grade.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
A stock market rally is brewing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Reacting to that U.S.-China trade deal, Dow futures up about 1,000 points before the opening bell in a half hour.
Neither side wants a decoupling.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, after weekend talks in Switzerland to ease a trade war that's halted most U.S. and Chinese imports and exports.
The equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that.
For 90 days, both countries will slash tariffs by 115%. So the U.S. charge on Chinese goods is 30%. China's tariffs 10% now on American products. We'll hear from President Trump this hour, signing an executive order to lower prescription drug prices for Americans.
The president posted on Truth Social Sunday, I will be instituting a most favored nations policy whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. After signing the order, the president will take off on a Middle East trip to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, which is offering a gift to the Trump administration, a luxury Boeing 747 jet that the president could reportedly use as Air Force One until the end of his term and then transfer it to his presidential library. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tells Fox.
The legal details of that are still being worked out, but of course, any donation to this government is always done in full compliance with the law, and we commit ourselves to the utmost transparency.
We're waiting for Hamas to release the last living American hostage, which it said it would do today, while pushing for a new ceasefire.
Idan Alexander, who was raised in New Jersey, was serving in the Israeli army when he was captured by Hamas during the attack of October 7th, 2023. Israel says the freeing of Idan Alexander isn't tied to any promise to stop its assault on Gaza. It will, however, create a safe corridor through which he could leave the war zone.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. And Ukraine and Russia may hold direct ceasefire talks Thursday in Turkey. America's listening to Fox News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Tired of all the negative media manipulation? Wake up feeling right with a Morning Extra on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
Tug and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 until 10. We've made it to the bonus hour. You never know which way the bonus hour will go. Sometimes it is right to plan, like Jeray's laid it out, the roadmap for us to follow. And then sometimes that collapses altogether.
Sometimes you get an earthquake.
Yes, exactly. Things change.
Your whole morning plans are suddenly like, what was that?
I have no idea what just happened. And that's kind of like, it's like the 9 o'clock hour. Do we get an earthquake today? I don't know. Could be. Maybe it starts with your phone call at 404-741-1230 and you set us off on some tangent that we didn't expect. I do have one small tangent that I'll bring up, and it'll probably be. Let me look at the roadmap here.
He's studying.
About 27 past the hour, about 9:27. There's at least one tangent I know that's coming because I saw this little video and I wanted Los to hear it and see it and respond to it because I'm
very excited.
It's right.
I've been holding off on this.
I know.
This is the scenic route.
Dude, we at least have one detour. We know that.
I knew exactly where to put this.
There was a moment where, as Jerry puts the show together, so intelligently, he goes, if we just make him work for 3.5 hours and then we feed him conspiracy theory, he will be so rewarded. It's like your dog when he uses goes to the right place in the yard, and then you give that dog a treat.
Oh,
the dog will keep doing whatever you tell it to.
It's like, what? I get those little. I think they're peanut for our dog Cash. It's peanut butter gingers or something like that. They're just these little tiny chewy peanut, and they smell just like peanut butter. So I'm sure my wife's, looked at the ingredients because she feeds the dog better than she feeds us, but. She knows that he'll do anything for those. If I'm telling you, if you said, write me a paper, that dog would figure out how to write a paper to get some of those peanut butter.
If Jerry promises me a conspiracy theory, I'm like, okay.
And this will be one that you cannot miss because I think Los is going to hit the ceiling. And then the knowledge that Los has on all kinds of conspiracy theories, about 90% of them come true. But he is going to unload, and you will hear things that maybe you've never heard on radio before, or for that matter, ever heard anywhere before. But as soon as I heard this, I wanted to bring it to the show, and Dre has done me a solid by putting it in there. But before we get there, there's a story out of South Africa that's not been covered very much, to be honest. Mainstream media has basically left it alone. And these are the same people that talk about how important asylum is. For the last specifically 4 years, everything was an asylum case. It didn't matter what was going on. And they were letting people just flow into the United States by the tens of thousands, turning into the hundreds of thousands, and then the millions, and then the tens of millions. And asylum was such a part of the conversation. But over in South Africa, the government there is taking the land of white farm owners. They're not asking for it. They're saying, we're taking it for you. And if you put up a fight, we will kill you. And there's so many people in the government. There's videos that are flowing out of these government officials saying, yeah, it's fine. It's just white people. We're going to kill them.
They're singing songs.
Yeah.
They're bigger factions that are more dangerous are singing songs about eliminating any of the white landowners.
Dude, it is. It should be alarming, but the mainstream media doesn't really see fit to point it out. It's just fine. Asylum? What's that? So Donald Trump has allowed 54 white South Africans who are appealing for asylum, and they want asylum. They want to be able to come to the United States. And Al Sharpton on MSNBC called Donald Trump a racist for allowing these people in. These people, as we just laid out, are being murdered. This is the real reason for asylum, not just opening the border for political gain. But Al Sharpton doesn't see it that way.
I've talked to some people that been at the protest, and he's still in custody wherever. But I think that the problem here is that you're talking about the mayor of a city where people are being held without due process in many cases.
Right.
So he has the right to say, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on here. Why are people being held without due process? Now, you contrast that at the same time, the New York Times is saying that President Trump is saying to white Afrikaners from South Africa, I'll give you refugee status. So we're bringing in white Afrikaners who we don't know if they're criminal. We don't know this, what they went through in the legal process in South Africa. But people right here in Newark, we're going to assume they're all criminal. We're going to bring them out. And if the mayor wants to say, wait a minute, let's have due process, lock him up. He's trespassing. It is as blatantly a double standard as one can get. what is the real policy going to be? And I think he's right. Judges have to establish, are we going to have due process? Or are we just going to let everybody go? And can the president just give other people blanket, you're refugees? So what's the difference, Mr. President, between a refugee and a guy that may be a criminal and may not be, given the Garcia situation?
This is the same people that flew to El Salvador on behalf of a gang member and protested and ultimately realized, oh my God, he is a gang member, and then backed off. And now you've not heard them mention his name hardly at all, with the exception of that soundbite, that one we just played. I mean, these people went to El Salvador on behalf of a gang member, while these people, the South Africans, the 54 that Donald Trump are letting in, and saying that these people have no claim to refugee status, as they're being murdered. These people are being killed by their own government. If there's a reason for refugee status, that is it.
First off, I know that Al Sharpton's a very, very astute person. And
Yeah,
I'm sure he meant Afrikaans. But besides that, the asylum system is set up for exactly this. Now,
right.
It was, unfortunately, taken advantage of and created a giant burden based on what Joe Biden allowed in and had everyone. Initially, if you remember, it was everybody can come on in. And then it was so damaging, some of the reports that Bill Maloogian and a lot of the other people that were journalists down on the border were doing, that the administration felt the pressure and decided, okay, we'll let you all in, but it has to be through a port of entry, because the legal way was to enter through a port of entry and claim asylum, which they just handed out asylum like it was candy.
Knowing that those court dates would never be met.
They would never be met. Now, if you want to tell me that there are Afrikaans that are concerned about being slaughtered in their homes, yeah, that's an asylum situation. If you want to tell me that there are Uyghurs from China that are concerned about being jailed, yes.
And killed.
If you want to tell me that there are Christians in Syria, that as that state has fallen apart, those were the first people to be slaughtered, yes. But what we had was a taking advantage of the system where everyone claimed asylum, yet they were not actually asylum seekers. So, yeah, we have to reset this entire board. And so if we decide, based on what's going on around the world, that we will bring people in, okay, fine. I don't have a problem with that. But we can't allow everyone to come through the border and just claim asylum no matter where they are and just be like, yeah, blanket, here you go, no problem.
But once again, the left is being dishonest.
Yes, they are not being honest about the situation in which it occurred.
And they're banking on you not knowing
being
what's
ignorant of it.
That's exactly
Yes.
right. That's what they're banking on. And then that way they can use this, see, it's just racism. That's all he cares about. Just like Lo said, if it were the Uyghurs, if we were rescuing the Uyghurs, well, I don't know how many Uyghurs there are that are being used for slave labor, but I know it's in the millions.
And by the way,
in China,
they're Muslim.
And they're Muslim. That's exactly right.
And that's the reason why they're being used for slave labor.
Because of their faith. Just like the Syrians being slaughtered, or the Christians in Syria being slaughtered.
And
all
by the way,
of their faith.
And there's no such thing as color when it comes to Christianity in Syria.
That's exactly right. And yet, it wouldn't matter to me, because I'm sure during apartheid that we allowed Africans, South Africans to come in, and it didn't matter what color they were. And it shouldn't matter what color they are. Just like we did it way back then, we should do it again here, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. It's the saddest thing in the world to see Al Sharpton try to make something about race that is about life or death. It's the lowest. I don't think you can get lower than what he did right there.
Well, I mean, he's a race hustler.
I know that.
That's all he's ever been.
I know that.
That's all he's ever going to be for his time. And it's expected. I mean, he's employed to do that. He's employed to be the guy who makes everything about race. Now, credit to him, he's done it at least somewhat intelligently enough that people didn't see right through it. Like Joy Reid, you're like, come on, Joy. Like Jamel Hill, like ESPN got away from, now you have to like go search to find where Jamel Hill has a forum, because it was race baiting, but was not quality race baiting. Like if you were to say like, Los, can you race bait for an hour on television? I'd be like, why not 3 hours?
Yeah, give me the time.
This won't be a hard time, because I know their rules. I just use it against them, or I play into them. That's all that Al Sharpton has ever been. And so, of course, he's going to take this issue and turn it into a race bait situation.
Allow 10 million into the country? No problem. 54 that are being persecuted and threatened with death or property being taken away from them and them physically being killed.
It's public.
And it's not like anybody's hiding
Their
it.
administration
Are singing songs.
Yes.
It was like a city council meeting. And
they had something about
Whitey,
it was
whatever.
They had used it as I think the song was something about slaughtering the hog.
Yeah.
But it was strictly telling you about, like, we're taking this land back from these people and we're going to kill them and their families.
Dude, it's the most hateful, it's the most frightening. And I would think that if you genuinely cared about human rights, like the left tells you they do every day, human rights, these people didn't get due process. This MS-13 member didn't get due process. But when somebody actually needs it, actually needs asylum, we got time for them.
And, you know, I know what the standard response from the Columbia University ilk is going to be. Well, what about the Palestinians? Well, stop voting for terrorist organizations.
That's exactly right. I guarantee you.
Did you vote for Hamas? Let's have a discussion here.
Because if you continue to vote for
Can
Hamas,
I vet you and that you're not going to be some terrorist when you show up here? I can't.
All you have to look is what's happening in Minnesota. When they allow people to come in that aren't asylum seekers and they put them in one specific area and the changes that happen there. Compare and contrast all you'd like. It's very clear.
It's why you have different communities that are, I think we're getting more cognizant of this.
And people are, because for a long time people were afraid to point it out.
Because critical mass, it's not racist to point this out. People, when they start collecting in bunches, start to create their own standards. Now, we have long felt that if you are big into rule of law, that's an American standard. If you're about trying to be decent to your fellow man with Judeo-Christian ethics, that's an American standard. That's what the country is partly founded on. It's when you bring your Sharia law from somewhere else around the world and you demand that to be now part of the new community standards.
Dude, when you see those people in Minnesota talking about that, hell yes, we want Sharia law. They want you to know that they're you're talking about not hiding it. They do not want to hide it. They want to make it well known that is the goal.
They have reached critical mass.
That's exactly right.
Where they can now influence, and they want a society that closely resembles what they left.
It's freaking crazy. The Democrats, I don't know if they hate themselves. That's the reason they take the 20 issue, or they just hate Donald Trump. Maybe they hate both. Maybe they are self-loathing and they hate Donald Trump too.
Well, a good Democrat has to hate. All right? Now, I'm not telling you like awkwardly hate everyone. For instance, if you're a white Democrat, you have to hate your whiteness. And you have to capitulate to that. You have to constantly bring up that being your primary issue. If you're any other Democrat, you have to hate conservatives or hate Republicans. You can't just dislike them. You can't just disagree with them. You got to hate them. And that's just the way it goes. I want you to take a listen. This is Bill Maher. And he is basically pointing out the Dem self-loathing, and that the problem is that I think Bill Maher, while I say we're the adversary, classic liberal, I think that I wouldn't say like, hey, you're proud to be an American. What I would say is that he recognized the value of being an American, of the stuff you can accomplish. He is a comic who recognized that free speech is a key point to his entire existence. So take a listen to how he points out the self-loathing that the modern Democrat has.
Seriously, this is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. Globalize the intifada is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems. At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
So true, dude. Everything he just said.
Loathing.
Dude, and it starts at home. I love the fact that he said talk to your children because it starts at freaking home.
Telling you, he is a worthy opponent. I don't think he's sitting there glowingly being like, America's the greatest thing ever.
But he said America's not perfect.
But as an American who has made his entire fortune,
he recognizes
he recognized the power of free speech and the opportunity that is there. And the fact that you have a portion of your party that is screaming with the terrorists.
A portion?
A large part. As he gave you the numbers, 54% say they're embarrassed. 1 out of 4 say they're proud to be an American. Wow.
Dude.
That is the destruction. That's why there's a civil war going on with them.
That's them in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And they hate him for laying it out. They hate him for saying it. They know it. There's no way they don't know it.
My interaction that I had over the weekend, I'm trolling a troll, right? I'm enjoying it. And it always goes back to the same thing. They eventually, when you break them down, it always turns into like, well, white this. I'm like, well, you're white. The fun part is that I get to point out, and I'm not. So here's where I have a different perspective of you. Right. But their very nature is when you have them cornered, it's to call you white.
As if that's something horrible.
But that is their view of it. That is their self-loathing. That is their hatred of who they are. Like I told you, you got to hate two things if you're a modern Democrat, if you're on that side. Republicans, conservatives, and white people, even when you're white.
Self-loathing.
That's all it is.
That's exactly right.
There's a good correlation between these extreme views and mental illness.
Without a doubt.
In fact, you will hear psychiatrists bring up on a regular basis people that have issues of self-love and that they are have discussed with themselves. They typically will have it with the country, and they typically vote Democrat. And I know it's overarching and a very broad brush, but go ask these medical professionals, and they will tell you they see more of this on that side than they'll see it from our own side.
That's why liberals are always angry and looking for more reasons to be angry, and conservatives aren't. We see the best. We see the best in America. Is it perfect? No. I will agree with Bill Maher on that. It's not perfect. But is the goal to make it a more perfect union? Absolutely it is. And I'll give Bill Maher credit. I bet he and I don't agree 75% of the time. He sees that exact same thing. Morning Extra, Extra 106.3. All right. This is what I've been waiting on. This right here is this may derail the rest of the entire show.
We've had a really good program today, and we're about to kill it.
That's right. But it'll be enjoyable as it dies a slow death right here in the studio. It'll be fun. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. Going to rain all week. Make sure if you got a leak in that roof, you get it repaired. 8779-SOUTHERN or southernexteriors.co. Los is going to eat this up. Hitler did not die in World War II. Could this be true? Next.
Neil Bortz is only live on Extra 106.3, bringing you daily commentary on the biggest topics of the day. Catch him throughout the day or hear his latest on the Extra 106.3 app.
Want the truth about shopping for new floors? Big box stores might have flooring departments, but Empire Today has flooring experts. There's a huge difference. At a big box store, you might be getting help from someone who's in flooring today, but was stocking toilets yesterday. With Empire, you'll work with a dedicated flooring expert. We bring the store to your home, help find the right floors for your lifestyle, and answer questions. All while you view hundreds of samples with your own furniture, decor, and lighting. You'll get an all-inclusive price estimate and can schedule installation as soon as the next day for in-stock styles. That's Empire's Home Floor Advantage, working with experts who specialize in one thing, flooring. For a limited time, use code RADIO to get $500 off your contract of $3,500 or more when you call or visit EmpireToday.com. That's $500 off with code RADIO. You know the number.
800-588-2300
Today. Offer may not be applied to sales or combined with other coupons, discounts, or savings. Terms apply.
You protect your physical health by choosing your doctors carefully. Protect your financial health by choosing an attorney carefully. An accident can be very costly. You want to receive the compensation you deserve. Call Van Sant Law. My friend David Van Sant will take care of you, trust me, very well. The number is 855-GA-INJURY. The website is vansantlaw.com. In the event of an accident, it could be the most important phone call you make.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. ATL Turf Co. provided a pet-friendly turf, so it holds up to dogs. My dog likes to have friends over, so when they run around, chase balls, they can skid on it, they can slide on it. Nothing ever happens to it. The transformation of my backyard just looks amazing. We've referred ATL Turf Co. to all of our friends and family. Check them out online at atlturfco.com.
Yellow Jacket fans, don't miss your chance to lock in your seat for the 2025 football season today. Next year's home slate is highlighted by the renewal of our rivalry with Clemson, as well as ACC matchups versus Pitt, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. Into the end zone! Touchdown! Haynes King! All hail the King! Support head coach Brent Key and the Jackets on game day by visiting RamblingWreck.com/tickets to get your season tickets today. Sting 'em.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your Georgia headlines for Monday, May 12th. Hundreds of flights were delayed at Hartsfield-Jackson on Sunday. A ground stop was issued around noon due to runway equipment issues. Some delays are lingering into today. The FAA says another ground stop is possible. Check your flight status before heading to the airport. Cleanup is continuing after a train derailment in Smyrna on Friday. CSX said there were no injuries and no hazardous waste was released into the area. Investigation into the cause is still ongoing. And the U.S. and China have agreed to roll back most tariffs for 90 days as negotiations on a trade deal continue. U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will come down to 30% from 145%, and the Chinese will lower their rates on American goods to 10%. Today's weather: rain and isolated storms continue throughout the metro area and look to be here until Wednesday. Temperatures will be relatively low in the 70s, but we're warming back up into the 80s by the end of the week. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. They have done over 200,000 jobs, so they are experts in the field. With all this rain in town, if you got a leak in the roof, make sure you get it repaired. Make sure you get it replaced if it needs to go that far. 10% off any job that you choose, or 12 months, 0% financing at Southern Exteriors. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. Get the website right, southernexteriors.co. Keep that in mind when you're looking at this. It is important. You got to get it done. Got to get it taken care of. All right. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. Oh, the entire show. We even teased it like 3 hours ago. Probably did no good.
I'm very excited.
But it was when I read this and then I listened to it, all I could think was Carlos. I mean, I'm not kidding. From beginning to end, this is the kind of thing that I think gets Los fired up to talk about.
May I be very intentional here?
Yes.
When I saw it on our show notes, I made it because you had like Los. I made it a point. I'm like, if it makes a show, it makes a show. I'm not going to investigate. I'm not going to dig into it. I'm not going
You won't have to. This is one of those topics you're not going. It doesn't matter.
No, I'm just saying this. Like I wouldn't intentionally. I was like, I want to be surprised.
Right. But when you hear this is going to be one of those things where like I've watched 15 documentaries on this very thing, and for most people, they'll hear it and they'll go, I've kind of heard that before, but this is
why this surprised me coming from you.
Well, it was when they laid it out, and the way they laid it out, I think it's an interesting conversation.
I have to tell people when they ask me about conspiracy theories, and they ask me about you, I was like, Tug really doesn't jump into a lot of this stuff. I was like, but if he does, then you know you got him. Like, somebody made a good presentation if he wants to.
Listen to this. This is about what happened, what they say actually happened to Adolf Hitler in World War II. Listen.
People know this story and who have studied the subject know that Adolf Hitler didn't kill himself in a bunker in Berlin as the Red Army closed in. I think we all know that was a fabricated story, or if you watch this show, you probably understand that. Hitler actually fled Germany weeks before that using a group of underground tunnels that led to an airstrip, and that airstrip was flown. He was flown from Berlin out. It took submarines and multiple submarines that were used, U-boats that were then sent to Argentina. In other words, Hitler lived for nearly 2 decades more in Argentina, along with vast numbers of the Third Reich. Well, now Argentinian President Javier Milei has just ordered the release of all remaining documents on all of those Nazis who fled Germany and moved to Argentina after World War II. Basically, it was almost like a second base of operations in Argentina. If you're not familiar with that, like basically the Third Reich operated out of Argentina and Germany. And many of them, including Adolf Hitler, lived in Argentina well after 1945. Most people know that Hitler lived out his days in Bariloche, Argentina, until he died there in the mid-1960s. Yes, you can read the CIA documents about this. The FBI documents also about sightings of Hitler in this area. They knew about it. Of course they knew about it. It was largely facilitated, I think it's safe to say, by the United States and its allies. Operation Paperclip, anybody? Quid pro quo?
Also, if you look into this, the skull that is held in Russia that was supposedly the remains of Adolf Hitler with a bullet wound in it is female.
Yeah.
So when you look for proof that Hitler did in fact kill himself in the bunker, you are going to find a lot of dead ends.
Yeah. And all you need to read, you can read a great book on this called The Gray Wolf. It's a great book. There's many books written about this now. But yeah, the skull, the fragments, they ran the DNA tests on it. And the Soviets allowed them to do this testing. And even Stalin openly talked about that Hitler lived. He was not there, so Stalin even knew about it. It's widely known in Argentina, by the way, well known, that Hitler sired 2 children while he lived in Argentina.
Dude, there were so many things that made it jump out for me.
Which one can I get into first?
Operation Paperclip is the first, because you've brought that up a dozen times on the show. As soon as I heard Operation Paperclip, I was like, we got to play this.
Operation
Paperclip. Got to present this.
For those of you who are unaware, or maybe you are and just, you decided, hey, I just forgot about it. So Operation Paperclip was our military, our government, who decided which Nazi scientists were going to be useful to our future, and basically was the birthplace of modern NASA, where we brought on von Braun, who had developed the V-2 rocket, and that became what we started really cranking up our space program with out of Huntsville, Alabama.
That's exactly right. And I had written it down as it was going because I wanted to make sure I had everything in order.
By the way, these were like guys that should have been tried at Nuremberg, and we decided, I know y'all are pretty terrible people and you were into human experimentation, but if it can be helpful to us, we'll bring you here. And so we brought in a bunch of Nazi scientists.
Operation Paperclip, the U.S. nuke program, the Nazis that escaped to Ukraine, and
the remnants of them.
Absolutely
yep.
right.
Went to Ukraine.
Because we've talked about that so many times, and we've seen those regiments, those military regiments that proudly fly the flag.
Yes, they have no problem with the swastika there.
And the book that I have pulled up on my computer right now, Gray Wolf, which is the escape of Adolf Hitler.
All right, so can we address that?
And so, well, yes, and then the fact that Javier Milei, who we really like, is willing to unclassify the documents that are pretty widely known.
So Milei is making it a point, because this is, to call it a stench on their country, it's more of, it's almost like an accepted history of that was where the Nazis fled. Now, was Adolf Hitler able to do it? I don't know, because I always had an issue, because during the Cold War, it wasn't until basically the USSR fell apart that you actually got so here's the bullet fragments, here's what we have, and by the time anybody got a chance to inspect it, it was pretty iffy. And if you know what the story was that Hitler had taken cyanide capsule and shot himself in the bunker, and then they attempted to burn his body and Eva Braun's body. So it's also a perfect cover for, oh, he's gone, and we don't know where he is. But also the other end of it, too. You know, Hitler was spending his last days telling all of his generals, we're fighting to the last man. Like, this is like he was on like death wish. Like, this is all going to end with me dying here, and here's how it's going to be. So to think that if he ever did escape and got to Argentina, yeah, he's the primary Nazi, but there were quite a bit that actually got there.
That really got there.
Whether
he
got
did or
there,
not.
and then lived out their lives. Like, we were finding when you had, I'm trying to remember the name of the organization, but when they were basically hunting some of these people that were running death camps, quite a bit of them they were finding in Argentina.
Oh, God. There's that. And then you see the stories that pop up occasionally of the United States government prosecuting former Nazis and governments around the world prosecuting former Nazis. So when this popped up, because I don't know what to think. I've listened to the history classes that I went through in high school, and even dropping out of college 3 times. I did a few history classes and was always so fascinated by it. And this is one of those things that stood out to me as plausible.
See, this is where, so I'm not as deep into these kind of, what do you call it? Conspiracy theories, alternative history, whatever you want to call it, as Los is. But I've dabbled a little bit more than you have. And the thing that jumped out to me was the skull.
Oh, they're saying that the skull is a female?
Yeah.
And there's no way for me to know. I never been to Russia.
So let me give you an example. So Adolf Eichmann ends up being, he's one of the primary guys within the Nazi Party. And we actually captured him during World War II. But he was basically housed at a detention camp. And he was able to escape.
Democrats be out there trying to break him out.
We got to break him in there.
I'm telling you.
You got Nazis in there? You got a Nazi dad?
That's right.
So Eichmann, though, ends up basically using a network. And he gets false papers, and he gets to Argentina. And he was there for like 15 years before the Mossad finally caught up to him and took him back to Israel for trial for war crimes. I mean, a lot of these people that did make it there, they lived out a full life there. Yeah, it wasn't like we got all of them.
No.
And the Mossad didn't get all of them either.
No, absolutely not. And that's why still to this day, there's those prosecutions that pop up once every several years. But you're like, how in the world? This dude's like 97 now. He's older than dirt. And yet they're and look, for the crimes they committed, they should be tried. I mean, it's unbelievable, the horrors of it all.
I mean, we had to find Joseph Mengele in Argentina. I mean, this was the guy at Auschwitz who was doing the worst of human experimentation.
I went to the World War II, the Holocaust Museum. I say World War II, the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. I've never been in a more silent place in my entire life.
Yeah, we tried to go last time we were there.
Dude, I didn't say a word. No one around me said a word. People are so blown away by how alarming and how just horrible that was that there's not words to say when you're looking at it and you see.
Did they give you a number?
What do you mean?
Okay, so one of the things that they were doing for a time, because when my wife went, this was at the time, what they would do was they would give you a number, and it would correspond to somebody's story.
Yes,
by the time at the end, you find out about what happened to that particular person.
They still, or at least 5 years ago when I went, they did.
Wow.
Dude,
yeah, that's part of what grips you.
Make it strike home.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, as long as they have survivors that are capable of talking, because we were there on an 8th grade trip. Obviously, my son's quite a bit older now, but they had a Holocaust survivor speaking, and we sat in the auditorium, and he spoke for probably 30, 45 minutes. And again, you're talking about 8th graders, specifically boys who, they're poking and prodding. And
right.
Not a word.
Not a word.
Everybody was just laser focused because they couldn't believe. They'd already seen it. And then for a man to sit on the stage and say, I survived it.
So you want me to go down the Hitler made it to South America?
That's what I was trying to set up, yes.
Because
that was the That was the plan.
I have a hard time doing that one. And the only reason is because if we want to have a discussion of like, okay, who are like the antichrists in history, he's one of them.
Well, certainly.
And it's hard to think that he escaped and was able to live out a life.
Hard to think. But think about where we are now with politics. Maybe we've always been there. We just know about it now.
We just kept it under wraps. That's why I'm curious what Milei is going to have. Because he's going to have that you will have a lot of Nazi sympathizers that took these people in. And, I mean, they gave them, like, jobs where they just blended in. Like, Joseph Mengele was working as, like, a carpenter or something like that. It was like he was a doctor. He had, obviously, pretty extensive knowledge. And yet they thought, well, the best way to hide him is make him just a regular carpentry worker.
That's exactly right, dude.
He had help. They had an entire network of people that were willing to help you if you made it to South America.
This is the most thought I've ever put into this topic. And it was just after I saw that, and Operation Paperclip is what blew it up for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go down a hole.
Yeah, seriously, I have to let Los hear this.
He said Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, dude, because you brought it up so many times. And when I'm listening to this 2-minute clip, I was like, oh, my Lord. This is going to set Los off. This is going to send him into a spiral. I'll be reading about it for the next 6 weeks.
Just so we're very clear, there were other countries around the world that thought these people, as evil as they are, or the crimes they've committed, can still be valuable to us, and we'll use them. And we were one of those countries that did it.
We were one of them.
We were like, how do we develop the bomb faster? How do we get to space faster? I mean, it wasn't like we were depending strictly on Albert Einstein.
No, by no means.
We were.
And if you watched the movie recently, it was named after the scientist. Oppenheimer, thank you. That they brush across that. They don't spend a lot of time on it, but they brush across that. Have you seen that movie?
I think I've seen parts of it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the discussion that they have where
basically they're in the room where they're deliberating. Is this guy going to get in trouble or is he not? And they go into a lot of that. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's fascinating.
Because Einstein had already basically defected. He had left.
Mm-hmm.
As Germany's falling into what it fell into, he was like, I'm leaving my country, and here's where I'm coming to the United States, and I will be here, and if you need me, you need me.
Yeah. Fascinating story, man. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Because
I did, and now I'm going to have to go. Was it The Gray?
The Gray Wolf?
The Gray Wolf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another book you might want to get hold of and read. How do you feel about it? What do you think? Because I don't know. I don't know what to make of it all.
I prefer to think that he died in the fear bunker.
I want to think that too.
Because that makes me feel better.
Right, of course.
Sometimes you believe in those bedtime stories.
Right, because it's better for you to just believe. But what if? And that kept spiraling in my head as I thought about it last night. Because you're right. One of the great Satans, someone you could say the great Satan. Anyway. This is the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. When we continue, SNL, once in a while they get it right. They were poking fun at the Founding Fathers, and they got it right. It's really funny. Going to end on a laugh next on Xtra 106.3.
The Morning Xtra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3 FM.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Front Office Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers and Kawasaki. Landscapers, you've got lawns to cut. You know what it's been like over the last several weeks. You've been getting out there and getting the job done. Customers that you've got to impress on a regular basis, and you cannot afford any sort of downtime. That's where the folks at Howard Brothers can help you out. They can make sure that you have only the best parts for your equipment. And the best out there is Kawasaki genuine parts. Engineered for performance, built for the long haul, and trusted by professionals. Kawasaki parts keep your engines running at the top of their game all summer long. So if you're in need of belts or filters or blades or anything more along those lines, stop by Howard Brothers and get the brand that landscapers trust. That's Kawasaki parts.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Monday, May 12th. The Atlanta Braves dropped 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh over the weekend, including a 4-3 walk-off loss yesterday afternoon. The Braves now move on to D.C. for a 4-game series against the Washington Nationals beginning tonight. That'll be Grant Holmes on the mound for the Braves. He'll be opposed by Jake Irwin. First pitch is set for 7:15. You can hear that game live on our sister station's brand new app, 680 The Fan. From the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics look to even up their series with the New York Knicks at 2 games apiece tonight in New York. That game is the early tip-off at 7:30. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors play Game 4 of their series with the T-Wolves leading 2-1. That's going to be the 10 o'clock tip-off this evening. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Its intelligent technology is intuitive. Its responsive performance, responsible. Turbo power with a hybrid assist, a digital yet sensual cockpit, and sporty elegance helps make the C-Class a driver's delight and paradise for passengers. Get an exceptional offer on the 2025 Mercedes-Benz C300 sedan, just $499 per month for 36 months with $5,043 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the Mercedes-Benz Dream Days sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through May 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretired.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
May in the A is in full swing, and you don't want to miss a minute of the fun at Truist Park. May 12th through the 15th, the Nationals come to town. And on May 14th, fans can receive a Marcelo Zuna bobblehead presented by Delta, and his head and his arms bobble. And take advantage of some great deals during the series, including $10 tickets, $1.99 hot dogs, $3.99 Miller High Life, and select parking is only $10. Visit Braves.com/May in the A to get your tickets today. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves Country.
Hi, this is Bruce Hagen.
And this is Matt Hagen.
And at Hagen Law, family matters.
We're not just lawyers. We're a father and son team committed to providing personalized legal representation for our clients.
And it's important to me that we are a family-run business. If you've been in an accident or injured, make us your first call. We treat every case with the care and attention it deserves.
With over 50 years experience of helping people, we are here to guide you every step of the way through your personal injury case.
Hagen Law is a family firm where family matters, and we're going to treat you like your family.
You can find everything you need to know at Hagen-Law.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
The First Amendment, the most important. The second, to protect the first. The second most important amendment. We're going to get to that because SNL made it funny. It made my day, man. I laughed. I chuckled out loud at this one by SNL. And I'm sure they weren't even trying to make me chuckle. I'm not their target audience with the type of humor that they have.
Whatever, old man. You don't get us.
Exactly right. It's just fine with me. But we have MSNBC Morning Joe on in the studio most often. Once in a while we don't, but most often we think about it, we flip right over because we want to see what the other side is thinking and doing. And it's my understanding the S&P is up nearly 1,000 points this month. And I would think that things are probably going pretty well because of the deal that they've struck with China is going to send the markets into orbit. If it were going the other way, MSNBC would definitely have a ticker, watching the decline, watching the fall. Interesting they don't have one on this morning.
Oh.
So we'll have to find out on our own, ourselves.
Well, we're only up 1,000 points.
To goodness. I thought MSNBC wanted to inform me. I thought for sure they would keep me informed. I thought for sure they would tell me what was going on. But no, they let me down this morning, as they usually do.
We're only up, it's basically the equivalent of $2 trillion.
Only two, just 2T. That's all. Nothing to see here. All right. The founding fathers were the center of a skit on Saturday Night Live. And I want to introduce you to a man named Matt. Listen for Matt in this skit, and he sounds like most American Second Amendment advocates.
Now, what shall we discuss next? What is the second most important principle of our nation?
Guns.
Excuse me?
Gun.
I don't hate that. Well, I do. It's ridiculous. Sir, what is your name?
Matt.
Matt what?
Matt, don't you worry about it.
He belongs to the gun show.
Matt, what will posterity say of us if the second right we enshrine in this document is simply guns?
That we don't play.
Damn, that's actually kind of sick. Yes. No. The idea is ludicrous.
Wait, now hold on. I mean, we did just make a law that said anyone can say whatever crazy stuff they want, right? Maybe this gun thing would kind of balance that out.
Bingo.
Okay, yes, but by the same token, wouldn't having a gun embolden people to say crazy stuff as well?
Bro, what?
Yeah.
No.
What? Make that make sense. Gentlemen, we cannot just have an amendment that says guns. What about guns?
Having them.
Love it. Smart.
Like, who is this guy? Why isn't he running this? Matt, I am open to discussing guns for a later amendment, but I must insist we move on to a more pressing concern.
You're screaming.
So angry. Sir, where are you from exactly?
America.
So good. Yes, but where in America? Which state?
A united one.
He just comes back with more great answers.
Walton Goggins, by the way.
What is it?
Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins,
Okay.
yeah.
Love it. Because I'm not familiar with him.
He's been in a lot of Tarantino movies.
Okay.
He's in Righteous Gemstones.
Okay.
Really, really funny character actor.
Dude, and nails it here.
He's also the one who gave you the anus is on you.
Are you serious?
Oh, is he the one?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Which is
there you go.
If you know
Full
about
circle.
I'm telling you, it has come back around. But I just could envision Matt being at any gun show, like the NRA just did their big thing. He was there. And if it was just someone just like Matt. And I love when he said, "Which state are you from, sir?" And he was like, "A united one." This is so good. We're just going to have guns. We're just going to list guns as the Second Amendment. What about guns? Having them. It's just, everything is so straight and cut to the bone.
It's like Matt's from Kennesaw. I used to live in Kennesaw, and they've still got that law in the books.
That every
head of household must own a firearm.
Dude, I love it. When I chuckled so hard when I listened to that yesterday, it just made my night.
What does that say about us?
Yeah.
We don't play. It's just so
perfect
simple.
response.
Yeah. What does that say about us?
That we don't play. Matt says we don't play, and that's exactly right, man. God, I love it. That's
funny.
Bravo to SNL. I'm sure they didn't mean for me to like it, but they failed miserably because I loved it.
It's a very simplistic view of obviously the Second Amendment, but it's a very funny one too.
Yes, exactly right. And the fact that all of a sudden the other people, at the founding, the other people were like, "Yeah, he's on to something. I like what he's saying in their much more eloquent accent."
The comedy of, if we're going to have free speech, we're also going to need guns.
That's right, to protect it.
Exactly.
So good.
It's like these are the first two.
Once in a while, SNL stumbles upon an amazing,
SNL. That's funny.
an amazing skit, and I hope they continue. There's been and I'll give them credit. I feel like they've been trying to pull back the layers a little bit. They feel more free to do that. Isn't it amazing that it took a Donald Trump presidency to give them that freedom, that ability to feel like they could say something that they wouldn't have said otherwise?
In Donald Trump's America,
Yes.
you can be funny again.
That's
Where
right.
we started this morning.
In Donald Trump's America, you can be abrasive and comedic.
Yes.
This is why you need to stay for all 4 hours.
That's right. Absolutely. You just never know what you're going to miss.
That's how we put a bow on this whole thing.
It is.
In Donald Trump's America, and then you make your point from there.
Yeah, whatever it is. Whatever
In
it
Donald
is.
Trump's America, the stock market shoots up by 1,000 points in the first hour.
That's exactly right. As a matter of fact, he's addressing the nation right now on the U.S.-China trade talks. We'll see how those sound bites come together a
Let's
little
get the
later.
victory run here. So we've got a U.S.-China trade deal.
Mm-hmm.
We have some peace between the Pakistan
and the Indians.
We have we're lowering of drug prices. We're going to attempt through executive order, and the stock market is up by 1,000 points, $2 trillion. It's a whole lot of W's there.
That's
they're going to have to deal with.
a lot of W's, buddy.
That's a lot of weekend W's.
Yes, sir, it is. And it's only 9:56, almost 9:56 on a Monday morning. We starting out.
Telling
What
you.
more
Not
W's do you know?
tired of winning.
That's right. Please, make
just
me tired.
wait. The way this is going, you wait till they suspend habeas corpus and how people are going to react by going, hell yeah.
That's
Let's
exactly
go.
right, dude.
Watch.
Like something we should talk about tomorrow.
He's building up political capital for this, I'm telling you.
And something that Los has been bringing up for weeks and weeks and weeks. No one else, there's not been a soul else talk about that. No one, anywhere, except Front Office Los. That's what you get on the show. I'm just telling you, you'll want to be here every day.
We're ahead of the curve, or we try.
This is the Morning Extra. Thank you for being here with us. For Los and Jeray, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.